Hey everybody, it's the Wednesday show, and we are 7-3 magically in Browns land. We do have some interesting news today out of Berea that looks like we have another member of the team that has tested positive for the virus, and it looks like the reports are showing that it's Taki, which is really sad. Have just coming off of his best game ever. It just seems like some of these young guys are really struggling to catch a break. But with me, as always, my co-host Mike Ristano at Bonzo1273. Mike, how's it going, man?
It's going. It's Wednesday. It's the day before the biggest eating day in the in the country, which I'm pretty excited about. Kind of a downer that I'm not gonna be able to spend time with the family like I want, but it is what it is, and we're fighting through it, and just like you mentioned, we are another week. We get excited for Victory Monday, and we're laid with the news that Miles is not going to be back this week, and we sort of had an idea that would that might be the way the chips fell, but I mean I don't think any of us expected to get that news on Monday. I felt like we'd hear midweek or towards closer towards game time, and then today we it appears to be Taki, and man, you and I talked before the show. I have a lot to say on the COVID topic, but hey, like you said, we're 7-3, so here we are.
Yeah, you know what? It could be worse. It is. We know it. It could be much,
Yeah,
much worse. And it's just a testament to what Kevin Stefanski and the organization has really done this season, with all the challenges on top of the pandemic that's going on. No
yep,
preseason, brand new team, brand new staff, um, and managing. This is a brand new head coach. Is managing all these personalities. They said it couldn't be done. It certainly wasn't done last year with Freddie, and he even had half season kind of head start on it.
yeah,
And Stefanski just walks right into this situation and just performs. And then on top of that, loses Nick Chubb, Wyatt Teller, Odell Beckham, Miles Garrett, Denzel Ward now, Taki now. And I got to tell you, I mean, for us to be sitting here, if you would have told me in the beginning of the season, with this brand new head coach, we're going to have Chubb, OBJ, Miles Garrett, Wyatt Teller, Greedy Williams, Grant Delpit, really like the meat of our team go down for multiple games, and somebody actually even going out for the entire season midway, and we'd still be sitting there with a brand new head coach at 7-3. I would have laughed at you.
yeah. No, I agree. It's certainly a testament to Stefanski and I mean Barry too. But yeah, I mean I was just thinking about this today. I mean what a phenomenal job this guy has done, and it's you could even you go to the schedule naysayers that say, oh, well, you guys have played a weak schedule, etc. It's irrelevant because in years past, it doesn't matter, if we were playing a Pop Warner team or we were playing, the Cincinnati Bengals, this team would find ways to lose. And not just from a personnel standpoint, but also from, the coaching staff, or even you could go from the front office down through the coaching staff. So I mean, we talked about it last week. Stefanski is, I mean, he's cool, calm, and collective, and collected, and he's just, I mean, he's handling it like he's done the job for 10 years. And I was thinking about it earlier. I mean, I feel like we finally have a guy that you and I could be having this conversation 5 years from now, and
Mhm.
this guy is still holding the reins.
I mean, it's just it's weird. It's a weird feeling, and it is with how many head coaches and just how much incompetence we've had. Multiple owners,
Yeah,
head coaches that last a year at most, under this new Haslam regime, and then you have the historically the worst head coach in NFL history. He gets 2.5 years, and then they hire this new guy, unproven, spent his entire career with one organization, never won a Super Bowl, never had crazy success. But so they end up hiring him over a guy who's won multiple Super Bowls as a offensive coordinator, another head coach that had actually physically won a Super Bowl himself. And yet they hired this other guy out of Minnesota, unproven completely, and he just goes on to shred pretty much every head coach that we have had since Collier. Honestly, like in terms of like what kind of season he is having, and he's even borderline getting close to Paul Brown in terms of first year head coach. It's unbelievable. It doesn't seem real. Right? On top of all the things that he had to persevere through and all those injuries. On top of having, Baker Mayfield who absolutely had a down year last year, and he had to kind of build him back up. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is.
What are your thoughts on the Jags? With Mike Glennon, the brother of a guy that I had watched play college football quite a bit at Virginia Tech, Sean Glennon, who was there during the whole Tyrod Taylor era. And yeah, so I mean, I know the Glennons quite well. Mike played, I want to say he played at like NC State, but and arguably much better than Sean. But in terms of, I guess, career highlights, but he's getting the nod against us here this weekend, and I don't know if I should be worried about that or not. I think Mike Glennon is obviously a very capable backup, has a little bit more proven ability than the guy that they had last week, but they still don't necessarily scare me as an organization.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Mike Glennon is I mean, he's a very serviceable backup. I mean, there's no question about that. And he to me, he's the kind of guy that he's either going to go out there and he's going to lay an egg, or he's going to get into a rhythm with that running back, with their running game, because that kid they've got in the backfield. I mean, he's looked like one of the best backs in the NFL this year. So if they can establish the run, and Glennon did get into some type of rhythm, Denzel's down. We don't know what's going on with Ronnie Harrison. You got Taki down now. I mean, up until last week, he couldn't cover you and I. Mm-hmm. But it's on paper, we should go down there and we should it should be a waltz, and we should come home with the victory. I don't think that we're going to see, the Mike Glennon that's going to light us up even without Denzel. I think we still win by 2 scores. But there's a chance that, he could catch fire, and then the next thing you know, we're trying to figure it out next Wednesday.
Well, we did lose last year to the Broncos with Brandon Allen.
That's a good point.
So it's not like it's impossible for a backup quarterback on a below average team to play us tough. Quick shout outs to some of the guys in chat. Edward Rar and Ryan Burlow. What's going on, guys? Welcome. I got to tell you though, it's one of those games now that we're down, now that the defense, the 2 best guys on our defense, head and shoulders, carrying our talent on defense, are going to be out. With Denzel and Myles Garrett. Those are the 2 anchors on defense. They're gone. Yeah. Then you got Taki, who is, he's not lighting up the Pro Bowl ballots by any means, but he did have the best game of his career as a Brown, and made probably the play of the game when he caught that deflected pass took it back to the house.
Yep.
And So we're losing another guy who's, if nothing else, has been serviceable from the standpoint of like he's getting his reps in and he's learning the speed of the game. And finally, it looked like the game had slowed down for him because it wasn't just that one interception. I mean, he had a bunch of great plays that game, and now we're limping into this game in Jacksonville. The only thing I would say, the only thing we have going for us from a positive standpoint is the offense, other than Odell, is healthy. Yep. Right. So, but I'm not really afraid of I'm not afraid of their defense. I'm not really afraid of their offense either. But who knows? I mean, it's any given Sunday. They're 1-9. They did beat a football team, and they did beat a very good football team at home.
Yeah.
You know, one of the top 10 power rating teams. They beat the Colts. So, this could be a head scratcher.
Yeah. You know what I find interesting? If you go back to the Talkie thing. You know who his backup is, right?
Who Taki's backup?
Yep. Who I think, for what I've seen and heard, will be back this week. But to not make you have to guess,
yeah, it's
Jacob Phillips. So maybe,
right? Yeah,
maybe
he was full practice last week too.
Yeah. So maybe we'll see. We'll see a bunch more reps out of him this week, and we'll see what we've got. I mean, look, set aside for that pick six, I mean, it doesn't take much to upgrade that Sam linebacker spot. So
yeah,
we'll see.
2 tackles, one interception for Sione. He also looked like he was just in better position in general. And then this is the one thing that I think LeBron was going on. This is the one thing that I think has been the struggling point for our linebacker core. It just seems like often they're out of position, and then even when they're in position, they're not executing when they have to. We've been pretty critical of both Taki and Mac Wilson this season, and it seemed like both of them had a very professional football game against the Eagles, and I just want to give them credit where credit's due. And I'm sure I'd almost bet my life that they've been watching this show and said, you know what, we got to prove those two Browns fan Mikes wrong.
I will say this, Mike. Taki must be listening, because he went from, I can't remember exactly. I have it written down here somewhere, but when we talked about his PFF score last week, I mean, it was pretty low.
It was bad.
It was bad. And as of today, he is 19 of 86 at his position. So, I mean, he
one game.
One game. So he upped it a little bit. And, for our other friend, he is 82 of 86 with a 32 ranking. So, yeah. And I got to tell you, he now is ranked below Sendejo on our defense.
I mean, that is.
I mean, you've got to do. I mean,
Sendejo led our team in tackles last game. I think it might have been even the last 2 games. He might have led the team in tackles. Let me go back to the Texans game real quick and just check a look. No, that was Ronnie Harrison last game. I knew it was one of the safeties.
His and he got injured, but he's come down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, it's like the potential though. The potential's so there for him.
Oh yeah.
Where you've got, Sendejo for I know Sendejo might be the most hated Browns defensive player maybe in my entire lifetime. I don't think usually it's like the offense players, it's like the the random wide receiver that we pay a ton of money who does jack squat for us. Yeah. But with Sendejo, it's like, I mean, even casual, even my wife is like, what's that? Why did that guy hit that guy? The ball wasn't thrown to him. Why did he just level that guy?
When you scroll through Twitter, and let me preface it with this: if there is a COVID, a positive test, and they let us know that, but they didn't let us know who the player was yet,
right?
I mean, you scroll up and down your timeline, it's like, oh man, please make it be Sendejo, please, you know what I mean? Like he is he's like a villain. And again, you and I talked about. I mean, it's not his. That was not the role he was supposed to play, and he's. You know what though? I mean, really, when you the bottom line is this: Sendejo is playing because he has to, but the bottom line that I was getting at is simply how bad is Sheldrick Redwine, right? How bad is he that he can't even overtake Sendejo at that position? I mean, you got to be bad.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why, my dad is a big fan of red wine. And he's like, what, when this kid's going to play? And he's been getting in from time to time, but it's almost to the point that, like, the injury gods are saying, we're going to make it impossible for you to not play red wine. With Ronnie Harrison going down, and it's just like one guy after the other. So eventually he's going to have to see the field. And hopefully, I mean, he's already made one huge play for us this year.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I can think of, and this happens often at basically every level of football, what you do on the practice field really does matter about how confident the coaches are in what you're going to be able to do on the field if you're playing
all the time.
And if you're not prepared mentally and or physically, when you get in the game, you have to be ready to do that. And you look at a guy like Sendejo, who has, I don't know, the nicest way to say this is like a very limited skill set at this point in his career.
Yeah.
And then you got Redwine, who has got to be more athletic, right? You have to assume that Redwine is at least beats him from a physical standpoint. So it has to be, what's between the ears is the thing that's separating them, which is amazing because it seems like I tweeted this out last weekend during the game, that Sendejo just looked lost. Just lost out there, like looking around, like not sure. I mean, that last touchdown was arguably could have been on him. My dad and I were talking about it. He's like, well, he did step up because it looked like Wentz was going to try to run it. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not his responsibility. That's the linebacker's responsibility. His responsibility was dropping back into coverage, not to step up and make a tackle if the quarterback threatened to run. We had two guys in front of him that could have stopped Wentz from getting in the end zone. And if he committed, then you step up. But he didn't commit. He just threatened, which left the wide receiver in the end zone wide open. Luckily, we caught the onside kick for the second time this season to not give them a chance to score again. So I don't know. I don't know. But I think that I also want to give a shout out to a couple more people who trickled in. Varianto, Stomping Peak, Guts, David Evans Smith is here. What's going on?
Guys.
We are going to be doing the Victory Monday mug giveaway on Wednesday. So funny, that's coming.
It's funny you just brought that up, Mike. Because I've got my Victory Wednesday mug.
Oh my gosh.
See that? This is my Victory Wednesday mug.
I love it. What is that, a sticker and some chalk?
So, yeah.
Hey. I mean, it's premium. We only go premium here on the Wednesday show.
We do. And if we had this show tomorrow, it'd be Victory Thursday.
It would be. That's the beauty of it. It can be Victory whatever day you want.
Whatever you want.
If you've got something to write with and you have a mug. I happen to be just drinking out of a metal container today because I'm just drinking tons of water, trying to stay hydrated.
Full disclosure, it took me a little bit to get that legible.
It looks great, though. It actually looked like you bought it on Etsy or something.
Huh? See that? Maybe I should open up a shop.
You should. Well, you gotta figure eventually, with the amount of how much we're pushing this mug on Twitter between both your social sphere and mine, that the Cleveland Co. company is going to be like, all right, fine. We'll give you a freaking mug to give away on your Wednesday so you don't have to buy it. You have to think that.
I feel like we're leaning that way.
You know what the funny thing is? Actually, let me check my email real quick because I reached out to my homage rep to ask if I could give away a shirt today for the Wednesday show. It's Bernie Kosar's birthday,
Hey,
and
you know what? He follows me. I sent him a tweet earlier. Happy birthday. He liked it.
there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know if he because I sent one out this morning. Um, I sent one out this morning, that said happy birthday, and to be honest, I've been so freaking busy today. I didn't even look who liked it and who didn't. Let me take a quick peek real quick. I think he might have. I mean, he follows me as well, so it's like happy birthday. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, 270 likes. I don't even think I can scroll through it and see. I don't know. I mean, if he didn't, I'd be really disappointed because I'm like, why? I don't know. It only showed me a certain amount of likes, so I'd have to assume he probably saw it. But yeah, man. I mean, it's Bernie Kosar's birthday. Homage. What we could do, right? What we could do is I could give away a homage shirt today, and then just not give one out on the Sunday show, and then ask Sabo if I could give away 2 shirts from them. They've been really cool. So maybe we do that. I don't know. What do you got, chat? Do you want a chance at a shirt and a mug on a Bernie Kosar birthday shirt and a mug today?
What a day.
What a day. I am down to do that. Everybody who happens to be in chat right now are committed. They're committed Wednesday audience, and we want to give back to you guys. We have to give back to you guys.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Of course, it sounds like the people in chat are interested in that. By the way, chat, go ahead and hit that like button right now. Let's boost up those likes so the YouTube people will put us higher in the currently maybe recommended to view category. And if you feel up to it, go ahead and share it as well. X-Men Avenger 23, dude, I haven't seen you in forever. What's up, man? Welcome. What were you saying there, Mike?
Oh no, I was. Did you see any of the video of Odell rehabbing today?
I did not. He just tweeted a second ago.
I got to tell you, he looks like he could play next week. I mean, I
wouldn't be surprised. I'm telling you, I think he feels that playoffs are possible. And
could you imagine that would be the quickest ACL recovery
ever?
In ever, I think. But I mean, if there was somebody that could do it, it's him.
Well, do you remember when T.O. played with a broken leg in the Super Bowl?
And you know what the worst part about that game was, Mike? Is that the Eagles would have won that Super Bowl, but McNabb never went back to T.O. in the second half.
I mean, and who knows? Because once you go back, I remember going back to the one Super Bowl. I think it was the last Super Bowl that Denver won with Elway, and when Terrell Davis was the running back, and he in that game, and they were deathly afraid of him because he was by far the most dominant running back in the league during that time, but he had like concussions. And they didn't want to let it out that he was dealing with concussion. So they were like, God, if we could throw him in for just a play here and there. So who knows? I mean, T.O. might have got the shot in the leg and then was fine for like 2 plays. And then it was like, look, man, like you don't want to take any more chances on this thing. Because he looked like he was at 110% even during the time he was in. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, Donovan McNabb really kind of crapped the bed.
He threw up. Remember, he threw up at the end of the game. He was a mess. I mean, he's still. People still talk about that out here.
And I remember that I forget who it was, but there was somebody else on offense who was another veteran guy that said McNabb couldn't even call it. He was so nervous he couldn't physically call the play in the huddle. Yeah. So a different guy on offense had to call one of the receivers had to call a play. That's terrifying. That you can be that good in high school. You can be that good in college. Donovan McNabb was he was the first Michael Vick, the first Lamar Jackson, right? He was the guy that everybody was like, oh my God, we have a quarterback that is ultra dangerous both with running and throwing, right? Donovan McNabb and like Air McNair were like the two guys,
Steve McNair.
But McNabb was the one, and I remember when Michael Vick was out when he was getting recruited in college, they recruited him at Syracuse because they were like, hey, we're just going to keep running that same offense. And Vic was like, I don't want to go to Syracuse and be like the next Donovan McNabb. I want to be myself, and I'm going to go to Virginia Tech. So, it's just shocking that he couldn't like keep it together mentally, to be able to perform in that Super Bowl. But going back to OBJ, man, I am sure that he's rehabbing like crazy, because if he has a chance to come back for the playoffs, imagine the Browns at full strength.
Haven't seen it all year.
Full strength for the playoffs.
Haven't seen it all year. It's crazy.
I mean, arguably the only game we really saw it was, Baltimore? No, I would say the Bengals game. The second game we were still full strength. I don't think we lost anybody in the Baltimore game, right?
No.
So
no, they all took their whooping.
It wasn't until really the Cowboys game where we started losing players. So, I mean, we saw what we could do. We put up 35, 34, and 49 with that offense. Then Chubb goes down, and it got a little shaky there, but we still put up some big points. And now it's the running attack. Ara, what's going on? 5 yards to go. Ara says, "Hey Mike, missed the weekend. Had to paint rooms. I see Quincy tried to steal your post game." No, Quincy's definitely not stealing a post game. He's got his own thing going. Quincy is, I mean, honestly, in my mind, Quincy Carrier is the best. He's the best content creator, like honestly, possibly about the Browns on the internet. Independent content creator, just himself. You got a bunch of other guys out there, and I don't mean to be offensive to anybody. I'm just saying I'm probably Quincy. I think I'm Quincy's biggest fan. And I think that I love the fact that he's doing post-game shows. He had a ton of guys watching his show. He had me on his post-game show, so I got a little segment in there as well. I'm a giant Quincy Carrier fan. Everybody is, if you don't know who Quincy is, or if you're not subscribed to his channel, you got to get subscribed right away. That dude's he's a really fantastic talent, and he's going to be one of these guys 10 years down the road that I'm going to be like, I was there in the beginning, sub 10,000. Like, I think I went to sub to his channel when he had like 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers, and now he's up to like 20. He's going to have 100,000+ subscribers, and amazing things are going to happen for Quincy Carrier. So I love that dude, and I think we have our audience, yeah. And Quincy has his audience. A lot of it overlaps, but totally cool with however he wants to do it. You could always join us for the pregame show too, by the way. We have the pregame show with my dad, and then you get the Wednesday show here too. So just subscribe to everybody. Be a part of everything. All right, so we've been at it for about 30 minutes. I think it's time to do the mug giveaway, guys.
Oh, this is exciting.
Let's do the mug giveaway.
Let me take a sip of the Victory Wednesday mug real quick.
Victory Wednesday mug. This is going to be the Cleveland Clothing Co. Original Victory Monday mug. So type 1 to 100 now for the mug. Let's give it away, man. Give it away. Give it away now.
Little chili peppers, and I'm most fired up as the chili pepper.
Hell yeah. My
David
number is
in with the 54.
Mary's back. Mary got her mug. She shouted out. And Mary, this is funny. I didn't even realize that you were Ohio Doggy, because I always see your stuff on Twitter. And then it wasn't till you sent those tweets out that I was like, oh my God, that's who Mary is? I was like, yes, I'm so happy that you got it. That's amazing.
Did it come for Victory Monday?
She said that she did get it, but she got it like late in the day, and it was past coffee time. But she did get to drink out of it.
There you go.
She said she put some Irish coffee in there.
There you
go. So everybody also hit that like button. So if you happen to be in here, hit that like button. Help us boost up real quick. A good time to also talk about, as we have these numbers trickling in, we have We have some sponsors of the show, some guys who give us some stuff. I am going to be also giving away a homage t-shirt. We're giving away a free homage t-shirt because of Bernie Kosar's birthday today. We're going to do the usual Sunday giveaway today, and I'm going to reach out to some other people for some other giveaways for this Sunday, the Jags game. I think my dad actually has a bunch of stuff that he got that we're going to do giveaways for
Nice.
on the Sunday show as well, the both Sunday shows. So we'll give away a t-shirt as well. Awesome shirts. They're like $32 and they ship them to you free. You just pick whatever one you want. It's awesome. Didn't make a fake YouTube name. Yeah, you're using your real name. That is I would say ballsy of you, Mary. I use my real my main YouTube name, which basically is just I upload videos of my kids, so we can go back and watch like the Christmas mornings and stuff like that. But I have like 273 subscribers on that because I think people thought that was my channel.
Right.
So like I have 200.
They're like, wait a second, this isn't football.
Yeah, it's like random videos of my dog. It's like, but 273 subscribers on that, and I was like, come on, guys, go over to Brownie Post Game. All right, I think we got everybody. I'm gonna do a countdown right now, guys. Countdown right now for getting your number in if you want to win the mug. Anybody who's just trickling in now, type in a number from 1 to 100 really quickly. And here we go. The number was 51.
Who's the winner? Who do we got?
David Evans Smith had 54. Nobody in the 50s, nobody in the 40s. So I think David Evans Smith
Sending it down to
is our mug winner.
Sending it down under, huh?
Is the winner. Oh, he's in Australia?
Yep.
Okay, well, hold on, David. I don't know if I can ship to Australia. Will they ship that mug to Australia? Because I'm physically buying it. It's not like a rep. But hold on, we'll work this out. Let's go to Cleveland Clothing Co. And I'm gonna log in. So, David, if for some reason I can't ship it there for whatever reason, we'll figure out something else for you. We will figure out a way to get you something, dude. Because I just don't know what they do for international shipping. We'll work it out. So send me an email with your address to browniepostgame@gmail.com. So Boom. Give me your address. Postgame. So send me that, okay? And we still all have a chance to win the t-shirt. Win the t-shirt. And David, if you want to go to Cleveland Clothing Co. right now, we can chat on or chat on DM. That works too. If you want to go to Cleveland Clothing Co. now and just type in and see if you can order it, and if you can, don't order it. Just see if you can ship it, and if you can, give me a thumbs up so we're good to go. Anyway, Mike, going back to the OBJ thing.
Yeah.
He has essentially, because when would the first round of the playoffs start? Would it be like the 12th? The 13th?
Second week of January, I'm thinking.
So Sunday the 13th? Let's go look. NFL 2020 playoffs.
I think you might be right because there's no bye week this year.
Wild card round is 1-9.
Yeah, so no break.
And then so there's a 1-9 and 1-10. And then hold on, 1-9 and 1-10.
That's probably what the Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, and then okay, that makes sense.
Because now they added the teams and no bye, so that works.
Okay, yep, so that makes sense. So our last game against the Steelers is Sunday the 3rd, January 3rd. Yeah. Then we could potentially, and it doesn't tell me if it's AFC or NFC, I don't know. There's probably, and I don't think one day will make a difference either. He'll either be ready or not.
Yeah.
Come January, and he's going to have to get like a really big bill of health, a green check mark, before he's going to, risk his body and livelihood. Because if it's a knee issue, I mean, look what happened to Joe Burrow.
I mean, and you and I were talking. I mean, it was almost like they were trying not to give us all the details, and then halftime of the Monday night game, Schefter had a post, and just as I thought, the way that knee buckled, I mean, we're talking ACL, PCL, MCL, and meniscus. So I mean, the only ligament that he didn't tear was the LCL. I mean, talk about. I mean,
It's unbelievable.
that's major, major reconstruction. Like, I mean,
Yeah, they're gonna have to put his knee back together.
yeah,
And
and
they
oh
even said
god,
that he couldn't even do it. They're like there's too much swelling
yeah,
and stuff
oh
going on. So he's sitting there for like another week with like a shredded knee and nothing he can do about it.
no, you know what? I years ago I tore my ACL and meniscus, so nothing else, no other ligaments were involved. I think I sprained my MCL, but which is a slight tear, but they heal because there's blood flow on the outside. But I got to tell you, when I did mine, it swelled up like a balloon, and I couldn't straighten it, and they will not put you under to have that thing fixed until the swelling goes down and you've got some type of mobility. And I got to tell you, Mike, I remember I went to rehab before at the University of Delaware, and there was this guy, the head of the training staff, and this man must have been like 6'5", 6'6", and the girl was working on me, and she had me on the table, and she had my leg up, and it was on some towels, and she was on top of me, hand on each side of the knee, pushing down, and it wasn't budging. So all of a sudden, this dude comes out. His name slips me. It's been too many years, but he looks at me. Hey, Mike. I'm so and so. It's been a couple weeks. We got to get this thing straight. So take this, and he threw a towel at me. And I said, well, what do you want me to do with this? He said, put it in your mouth and bite down
Oh
on it
my
because we're going
god.
to get this thing straight.
Like a Civil War freaking surgery.
Oh, it was horrible. And
Dude,
he moved it a little bit, but I mean, not enough for the pain that I endured. But the moral of the story is, I mean, it was still like a couple weeks after that until I had enough mobility that they were able to go in and fix it.
yeah, I had one of my best friends in college. We were playing pickup basketball, and in the one of the gyms in Virginia Tech, and he went down and was like, "Ah, oh, man, my leg hurts." It was kind of like got up, it was kind of hobbling, and then he was like, "Yeah, I think I'll be all right." And he was kind of hobbling. I was like, "I don't know, man,
Oh,
just sit it out." And he was like, "I don't know." He really wanted to play, so he kept going. And
oh,
then he was like, "I don't know." He's like, "There's something big wrong." And then I noticed. Then his knee started swelling, like
oof.
you said, it went. It looked like it was like a
Yeah,
water
like
balloon.
like
Just started
like Booby
going.
Miles.
So we
Remember Booby Miles
no,
from Friday Night Lights when he did
I
the knee? You saw that movie.
I'm sure I did. I remember the TV show.
Yeah.
Um, but
I'm
yeah,
sure they know about it in the chat.
we had to rush him to the hospital. Went in for
Brutal.
surgery and then had to go to rehab and everything. And you know, but he's also not like an elite world class athlete. He was just a
Right.
dude in college, and I wouldn't. So there's a couple things that you'd have like OBJ would have going for him. He has at his disposal the best doctors on the planet, right? Basically, the best medicine and doctors and therapy that money can buy, and
Hands
probably
down.
even more than what money can buy, right? Because when you're talking celebrity status, like my dad had to go in. My dad's gone in for like a boatload of surgeries in the last like 15 years.
Yeah.
And it seems like every one of his surgeries, he's like, "Yeah, this is the guy who worked on Lou Holtz, and my back doctor is the guy when I had back surgery who worked on Tiger Woods." And it's like, so it's like one of those things
No,
that
you're right.
if you're a
Because the guy that did
doctor,
my knee, he worked on Dan Marino.
there you go. So that's how you know it. So
Dating
these
myself there, huh?
these doctors are the ones that, I mean, they love doing that kind of stuff because it's just free publicity for them. That they get to say like, "I healed OBJ," right?
Right.
And they'll tell everybody that, and every patient that comes in, "Oh, I want the guy who healed OBJ. That's who I
No.
want to heal." Where do
Ari,
you know?
you didn't miss anything. This is me and Mike in hopeful dreamland.
No, we're just talking about how he looks good. Real
Yeah.
Browns fan 30. Can I visit you in Florida? Tired of PA. Yeah, man, come on down. We'll go grab it. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Florida's pretty open, actually. We just have to be distanced. Um, I had people reaching out asking me if I was going to the Jacksonville game. They wanted to meet up, and I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not gonna do it. We've got my wife's fighting a cold, not COVID. I'm fighting something again, not COVID. I have sense of taste and everything like that. I'm fine.
Right.
It's just more like trickling of something tickling the back of my throat. I don't want to go out. I don't want to like expose anybody else, number one. But number two, like it's driving 3.5 hours up north to go see the Browns play another away game. To me,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm going to save my money and I'm going to go to a playoff game or something else. I've talked to my dad a lot about it because we were planning on going and we are going to bring the family. And then you look at the ticket prices and they're like $250 a ticket.
Really?
I mean, they're insane. So it's like, it's just dumb to do it because, you know, I'm not going to want to sit in the nosebleeds, right? I'm going to sit in the landowner section.
Right.
And you can't do that cheap. So
No.
I'm going to hold back on going to the Jags game. I've driven past that stadium plenty of times, and it just doesn't look like a place where I'm like, oh yeah, I got to go experience Jacksonville Stadium. But Tampa's actually really cool. If you get a chance to go to Tampa, the thing that sucks about Tampa, have you been there?
I have not, but it looks very cool on TV.
It looks really cool, and then you got your kids there. Like I took my daughter to a game, her first game, just her and I, and you know we went to Tampa. It was a night or an evening game in the preseason last year, and you know it was a really cool thing.
How far away are you from Tampa?
I mean, I can get to Tampa. Like if I'm in my dad's Corvette,
Oh my God.
I can get to Tampa in an hour. But it's usually
now if you were in the family truckster, it would take you.
It's an hour and a half on Google Maps.
All right, not bad.
Right. I mean, I have done it in record time before to make meetings, but yeah. So, but the thing that sucks about that stadium is you're walking around with your kids and stuff, and then you see the big pirate ship, and the kids are like, "Oh, I want to go on the pirate ship," and you walk up to it, and they're like, "No, nobody gets on the pirate. Nope.
No, you can't go on it.
The only people that go on it are like special, like corporate invite, like people invite only." And
See, I thought that was part of the attraction. I had no idea.
I thought so too. And I was like, wait, we're not allowed to go up on the pirate ship and check it out? And they're like, they should at least have like a 5 people at a time section of the pirate ship so they can experience it. And then have another section that's like the corporate side of it.
Yeah, or at least like a a window of time where, you can go and visit it, whether it be during the game or, even just as an attraction when there's no game there. I mean, that's like the best thing.
Yeah, Real Browns Fan 32 says I thought it was a bar. I mean, I thought it was anything. Like,
yeah,
it's just nothing. You can't go up there. It's like the ultra season ticket holder corporate guys. They get. I think it's probably a package that they sell that if you buy like the luxury suites, you have a chance at
the creme de la creme.
Yeah, a chance to go in there for a game, which is awesome. But some stadiums have that crap. That was the unfortunate thing. But it is a really nice stadium. I've seen games in the rain there. I've seen games in the brutal heat. Going to outdoor games in Florida is like not my favorite thing to do anymore at this seasoned age of my life. But eventually I'm going to get back to Cleveland. My dad and I were talking about this. I don't know if we were talking about this on the show or not, or just randomly chatting about it. But I think we were talking about it on the postgame show about some of the games that we went to in the old Municipal Stadium. And you know what the funny thing was? I think the Browns games in Municipal Stadium were my first NFL games as a fan when I was a kid. And I didn't realize how bad. I mean, we knew the stadium was bad, but I didn't realize how bad it was.
Yeah, like when you're young, you don't realize it.
No, you're just like I'm watching the freaking Browns play. I think we saw them play the Oilers a couple times, the Dolphins. I mean, we saw them play, and as crappy as that stadium was, there was something about walking into that just it's almost like when you walked into history.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's It was like a magical type of feeling. I mean, and you know what? And I mean that goes into. I mean that was the same thing when I went into Old Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Like it's. And, I never understood. Since we're going down this road, but like I never understood and I get it. Everything comes down to the almighty dollar, and like if you go back to Yankee Stadium, it was about being able to have more luxury boxes.
Yep.
Um, but man, like you look at Boston for example, they don't succumb to that pressure. Like that's the hallowed grounds of Fenway. Like I still think that they should have never they should have figured it out before they just abandoned Old Yankee Stadium. But that's just my 2 cents. But it's the same thing as I mean, you look at Old Municipal Stadium. I mean, Jim Brown, Otto Graham, Lou Groza. I mean, the list, Marion Motley. I mean, the list goes on and on. And you lose that mystique.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Mets fan, and I remember my one of my first baseball games. It might have been my first baseball game. I'm pretty sure it was in Shea Stadium,
Yep.
and seeing that, I don't think we saw a home run, but at least you got to see the apple in the hat,
Hmm. Yep.
and it was like, wow, I'm actually here. I felt like there, and then I got to go to a game at Citi Field, and I got to tell you, Citi Field is, I mean, it's the nicest stadium, and it's got all the nostalgia. It's got like the Mets store, the Mets Hall of Fame is there, and like just there's so much about. And they also like kind of took on the old. They took a lot of like the old New York baseball history there too.
Yeah,
So there's
like
a
the
lot
Polo
of
Grounds.
yeah, Jackie Robinson stuff is there too, and it's like, it's pretty great. And all my friends that are Yankees fans were like, yeah, the Mets definitely got a better stadium. American Saxon, how's it going, man? How's that shirt? I know it took a while for that to get to you, but happy that it finally arrived. We are going to be doing another homage giveaway shirt today. Um, let's talk a little bit about that Eagles game, Mike.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz going 21 to 35, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Right. This is a guy that had been anointed by the press, the national press, the national media, as like such a great, amazing talent. He didn't win the Super Bowl for them. They ended up committing to Wentz over Nick Foles, which I completely understand that.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the guy who wanted for him. And he's been, I would say less than mediocre this season. On top of that, you had a rushing attack that was actually doing pretty well there in the first half.
Yeah, Sanders looked good.
Yeah. He was breaking off run after run after run, and then ended up in the second half really they just stopped running the ball or stopped being effective. It just wasn't great. It wasn't the same.
I agree, and being where I live, there's a ton of hate for Wentz right now. You still have the camp, the folks that were in the Foles camp, and they're still in the Foles camp, and they still can't believe it. And then you have the Wentz camp, which now you're starting to see, some of the most vocal Wentz guys starting to back down a little bit. But I'll be honest with you. I mean, if you look at that Eagles offense, besides Kelsey, their line is horrible. Peters was good back when he was like 35, and I'm just being funny. I don't know how old he is now, but I mean he is way past the prime of his career, let's just say. And I mean, Ertz is out, so you don't have Ertz. You got Sanders, which helps, but then you've got an Alshon Jeffrey that is another one that he's been fighting injuries for years, and he's just not the guy that he used to be. And then you've got Ortega Whiteside, who was supposed to be the guy when they drafted him a couple years, didn't pan out. And then you got that other kid. So, I mean, he really doesn't. I mean, he has no weapons right now, and he has an offensive line that is piss poor. And I don't know if the grief that he's getting is fair right now, because I mean,
Here's the deal. And you might be one of the few people outside of like the actual Philly, or I'd say Philly Eagles fans, that
Yep.
know that much about their offensive line.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, just looking at Wentz's numbers, he's got a career. He just tied his career high in interceptions, so the first time since 2016. He's got 14 TDs, 14 interceptions. He's got a career winning record of 35, 30, and 1. That one season in 2017 where they won the Super Bowl, where he was on pace to
Yeah.
be
He would have won
MVP,
easy.
33 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions, threw for 3,200 yards. He went 11-2 as a starter that year. I mean, Carson Wentz was looking like, they were looking like they hit a grand slam 10 times in a row by drafting that kid.
And it's funny if you go back and you look at that year, he had some players around him, and the offensive line was very very solid.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it does. It's funny because it does it all comes back to the offensive line. It really does because like you take someone like Joe Burrow. I mean, a superstar in the making, and you don't put a line in front of these guys, and they're either going to get shell shocked or they're going to get seriously hurt. And I think that you're seeing shell shocked in Carson Wentz in
Mhm.
some of the decisions he's making because I mean he's got no time. I mean let's be serious here. You know, I don't think that a Miles Garrettless defensive line does what they did on Sunday. If you're playing an upper echelon team with a solid offensive line, so I really believe that you've got like I said you've got a guy like Carson Wentz that's just shell shocked and he doesn't know where to go because if even if he's not getting pressure, he thinks he's getting pressure, and it's sort of, I mean, shades of Baker last year. And then on the flip side, then you're just plain out getting killed, which is what happened to Joe Burrow. So I think that lucky for us is that these guys understood that Baker was the number one pick. They saw that he had talent. I'm sure the Haslams probably said, look, we're not going through this again. At least try to make it work. If it doesn't, then we'll have that conversation down the road. But you look, the offensive line, besides the obvious, was in shambles. And what was the first order of business that Andrew Berry did? He made sure he went out and he got Conklin to solidify the right side. He went and he got Austin Hooper so he could have a short game safety blanket. And then they went out and they drafted the kid to solidify the left side. So, you know, it's put up or shut up time and for us, right? Because we've got protection. It's just a matter of Baker continuing to grow and learn and see where we're at. But then, you look at these other teams and you take Carson Wentz. I don't know what they're going to do out in Philadelphia. Are they going to build the line? Are they going to give up on him? Does Jalen Hurts go in? And then you look down at the bottom of our state, and I got to tell you, I don't know what goes on. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's one thing to tear your ACL,
Mhm.
and it's one thing to sprain a knee ligament. It's a whole nother animal when you tear every freaking ligament in your plant foot, or I should say your follow through foot, which is your step through.
Mhm.
I don't care who you are. It is going to take a very, very long time for Joe Burrow to step up in the pocket and plant that front foot with extreme confidence post injury,
Well,
in my
they're
opinion.
already saying that he's not gonna be ready for Week 1 next year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even see the kid ready for week 4.
I think. I mean, there's commentators saying he should just skip next year.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it's not
you would.
it's not beyond the realm of possibility, guys, that we could be looking at Joe Burrow essentially being done in the NFL
I
after
mean,
10
think about that.
games.
You're talking about every ligament in your leg, in your knee. I mean, you almost have to learn how to walk again,
It's like,
essentially.
what are they going to do with that? Are they going to give him like cadaver like
I
stuff. I
know.
mean,
I don't know how. Like for me, when I did it, I was young enough that they felt that my best bet for longevity and healing, it was to take my one of my hamstrings. So I don't know if I can't imagine that they're doing that with these guys. I mean, these guys are well-oiled athletes. They can't be losing other ligaments to put. So I'm imagining that they'll probably use a cadaver. But think about that, Mike. You're talking about the ACL, which prevents your knee going one way, your PCL going the other. Schefter said it was his PCL too, Ara. So I don't know if he misspoke or
no, yeah, there were definitely four. There were definitely four items that
yeah,
were torn.
because Schefter did say his PCL as well.
I mean, think about this, man. What if you're some poor guy who just gets hit by a bus, random average Joe?
Yeah,
You get hit by a bus, but you're an organ donor. It's down on the list, and then who rolls in? And Joe Burrow, and they're using some random guy who maybe works at the bus station, and they're putting his ligaments in Joe Burrow's leg,
yeah. You have
and
no,
then
yeah. You don't know who's you're getting, and yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, and to Stomping Peak's point, I mean, you look at the slow motion of that, and I don't know
oh,
why I
I
subjected
couldn't I couldn't
myself.
I
I
couldn't
did it.
watch it, man.
I did it. I don't know why I did it, but I did it anyway. And the kneecap just it came out and violently came back in. Like I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I mean, so here's the other thing, guys. You never want to wish injury on anyone. You really don't. And I think even my wife was like, "Oh my god, like I feel so bad. He seems like he's such a nice kid, such a good guy." And it's even though they're in the division, if I was going to root for any team in the division other than the Browns, it would be the Bengals. It's
yeah,
definitely not going to be the Ratbirds. It's not going to be the Steelers. And I felt like I think we have the empathy for rebuilding teams, and we can relate to them better than anybody else,
yeah.
right? And to have your teams that were just trash. There's a guy on YouTube that I follow quite a bit, who's a Bengals fan, and he talks. He's like, "Look, we're not the worst team in the league. We've consistently been good for the last 20 years. We've made the playoffs several times. We just can't win in the playoffs.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
true.
they had what, Carson for a while at quarterback,
Yep.
who was good. Then they had Dalton for a while, who was arguably pretty darn good. It's funny. I'm looking back at that draft from 2016, and what's a really interesting thing about that draft that I'm just looking at? So obviously, and this was noted, that we had, who did real Browns fans said, a lot of people said we made the wrong decision trading our number 2 pick, and I think you'd be right, because if we had Carson Wentz back then, we would certainly be in a different position now. I think he probably would have been he would have done just fine for the Browns.
Yeah.
Who knows? But so we traded out of that second overall pick. They ended up taking Carson Wentz. And we also had a chance. Even if we didn't want to take Wentz, we could have taken Joey Bosa, Ezekiel
Yep.
Elliott, Jalen Ramsey, Ronnie Stanley,
There was a
DeForest
plethora.
Buckner.
Yeah, there was a plethora of them.
Boom, 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 boom. So then, and you know what we also had another trade out of our 8th pick when the Tennessee Titans took Jack Conklin.
Yep.
So we ended up getting Jack Conklin later, trying to rectify a little bit of that draft. Meanwhile, do you know who our first pick that year was?
What year was that again?
2016.
Oh, that had to be Corey Coleman, no?
It was Coco. Yep.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile,
What a
look,
horrible. And he was another one. You ever notice that every time they would draft these guys, like you would try and sell us the bag of goods on it?
Mhm.
Oh, Cody Kessler, 3rd round pick. No, you don't understand. Yeah, no, he may have a noodle, but no, this guy is going to be an exceptional. You know what I mean? Like it was every one of those picks, including Corey Coleman, was What?
I remember when we got Corey Coleman, I was like, what? Why?
Yeah,
I was like, is wide receiver like in order to hit on wide receiver in the first round, you got to be pretty. You know how many?
yeah.
It's like the biggest bust position in the
It really
NFL is
is.
first round pick. Then also the interesting thing was we ended up picking up Joe Schobert in the fourth, and then
And that's
Higgins in
about
the fifth.
how he that's about how he plays, about like a fourth round pick.
He did make the play. He did make the Pro Bowl though.
He
Um,
did, but was he an alternate thoh?
he was, but then he got
Yeah, I
in
think
because of
yeah,
that. But
yeah.
then you know what the other interesting thing was? We ended up taking Goody Bessler in the third, and and
Third round. Think
and
about
then
that third round. Third round picks play.
yeah, yes, and to it's very rare that those guys succeed. Yet the Dallas Cowboys ended up taking Dak
That
Prescott
was
in
that
the
the year?
fourth and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott in the first. So they had two boom boom hits, and meanwhile we ended up with
And
and
Kessler.
Coco and Kessler. Who did we take in the second that year?
I could only imagine.
I don't know
Probably
if we
like,
had it.
was it
Oh,
Phil Taylor?
Emmanuel Ogba.
Oh, well, actually, I mean, he's doing really well now. But I mean, how many years are you gonna
No,
take to develop?
no Pro Bowls, and he was the first pick in the second round too, which is basically like a first round pick.
What's mind-boggling,
One freak.
what drives me crazy, and I have these conversations with friends, and you really don't understand, or sit down long enough to have an understanding of what we've gone through. Only us Browns fans know,
Yeah,
really. Well, we only know. But I mean, to think about how many times we had multiple draft picks in the first round and shit the bed on all of them.
yeah,
I mean, Gilbert and Manziel, like, are you kidding me?
yeah. We, as Ara just pointed out, Michael Thomas went in the second round. Yet we took Coco in the first. Michael Thomas from Ohio State.
That everybody, until John Dorsey, people were afraid to take Ohio State. I mean, you're talking about a football factory right down the road.
Yeah,
But yet, for years, we would just pretend that they don't exist.
it's the same thing like with the Dolphins. It's for why the Dolphins weren't drafting guys out of University of Miami,
Yeah, Florida
and
State.
Florida State all the time was just shocking because they had the best teams.
Yeah, I agree.
But these guys think they're smarter than everybody else. Denzel Ward was probably the most recent and maybe best guy we've had at Ohio State in decades.
Speaking
But
of Denzel, I mean, so you pick up the fifth year option, right? Is I think you pick up the fifth year option, and then it's you got to figure out, is he worth the big money? And I think from a talent standpoint,
yeah,
he certainly is. But from a stay on the field and be healthy, I don't know.
yeah, he has to be picked up from a fifth year option
Yeah,
perspective.
most definitely.
Miles already got paid. Chubb's going to get paid. Baker's at least going to get his fifth year option, so he's going to get paid. He'll get paid. But still, fifth year option quarterback money is it's good.
Yeah, and
Good money.
yeah, and I think that and we'll see with a couple of passing games, but I mean, I don't. We, we haven't had that many opportunities to pass the ball, right? More so last game than the previous one. But I watched a bit of it again on the All 22, and if you take away, the throws that I'm sure he wants back to the tight end, the first one to Bryant that he underthrew, and then the one that he overthrew to Hooper last week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was scanning the field. He was making his reads. So I mean, I didn't see anything last week that would make you go, oh, he's regressing, and he's not getting any better at running the scheme, and being able scan the field pre and post, and be able to figure out where his read is. I honestly, and me, I've been very hard, right? I've been very hard on him, and I think that he's starting to. I see improvement. I think that I think Baker's going to be the guy for a little while. I don't. I think they will pick up the fifth year. I think you're going to see even more improved play out of him next year, and I think that they'll
Yeah.
sign him to an even bigger contract. I,
I'm
I
not
don't.
concerned,
No,
honestly, at
I'm
this
not
point.
either.
I think he's going to be. I think he's above serviceable, and I don't think he's hit his ceiling yet.
No, I don't think so.
And now that you've got it honestly comes down to Kevin Stefanski. I think you said this earlier.
Yeah.
Um, he's been on his fourth coach,
Yep.
right? And fourth coach in 3 years, and the kid, he hasn't collapsed under that.
No.
And he's going this week for his career high in terms of wins.
Yep.
He's also eclipsed that awful stat of Ben Roethlisberger having the most wins in Cleveland.
Yep.
Right, so he's got that, and hopefully Roethlisberger doesn't win. Well, I guess Baker would have to lose all the other home games. So
we should be okay for a little while.
Yeah, we should be. But I would hate for Roethlisberger to retire the winningest quarterback in Cleveland.
Yeah, that would be. But I mean, going back to Denzel. I mean, how many games did he miss last year? 4.
At least, yeah.
At least 4. The year before, 3, I believe. And now we're looking at a calf strain that.
Calf strain too. It's not like it's a torn calf. It's like a strain.
I know, and so now you look at the calf strain, and I mean, we saw a calf strain Wyatt Teller. I mean, how many weeks was Wyatt Teller out? 4.
Well, let's take a look.
Yeah.
So he went out the Cowboys game. So he's out the Colts, the Steelers, the Bengals, the Raiders, and came back for the Texans. So 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, four and a half if you count the bye.
So 4 weeks. So you're probably looking at another 4 weeks, 3 if he heals quick.
Mm-hmm.
So we're literally throwing you and me out against the Titans and the Ravens. And so I guess and don't anybody mistake what I'm saying in terms of Denzel. Denzel, when healthy and when on the field, is a top 5 corner. I really, really believe that. I mean, the guy is talented.
Yeah.
But but you have to be on the field in order to, Deion Sanders didn't not play because of a calf strain. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it must be pretty bad though if he had to get an MRI on it.
Yeah, I mean, he reported it the next day. He said it was, it was bothering him a little bit, but I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I don't. I think ultimately they'll pay him, but next year is a big year. I mean, you have to stay on the field.
Well, what do you think? Let's say that we miss Denzel for the Jags. So we don't have Denzel, we don't have Miles.
I mean I mean, again,
that makes it riskier.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Especially, I mean, how many times have we laughed and joked when even not even our own team, when you see like, so and so is playing, the third quarterback, and you're like, oh man, they're gonna get their ass blown out. And the next thing you know, you look at the box score and you're like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
And that team wins. So you literally, I mean, you can't, it happens. Injuries happen. It's very rare that you have your full complement of guys.
Mm-hmm.
But your top 2 guys,
yeah, that's the thing. It's where the talent is. You know, it's like the top guys, first overall draft, fourth overall draft pick. I mean, it's like these are the guys that you have to hit on those. And
Yeah,
there's
you
no
have to.
reason for you not to. To be honest, there's no reason for you to not hit on that, you know? And then Denzel last year really didn't give us a whole lot.
No.
You know, his rookie year, absolutely. Last year
Yep.
didn't give us a whole lot. And
You're right,
this year, you know, the production was starting to come back. The
Yeah.
tackles are there, you know, getting interceptions. I mean, it was like he was the guy again. And then it's like he's got a strain and he's going to miss the game.
Yeah, and Joe Woods, people don't realize. I mean, he's a defensive back guy. So I mean,
Yeah.
he is really the different style technique that you're seeing out of Denzel. I mean, that's that's a compliment to Joe Woods. Really working with him, and you saw like you said. I mean, you look at Denzel's year last year, and his year was not very good. And then you look at this year, and he's doing some things a little bit differently. He's playing, um, when he's coming up on the ball to make a tackle, he's got his head up. He's got nice technique. So you could tell. I mean, they've been working with him, and
Yep.
he looks really good. But here we are with with another injury. I mean, and it is what it is. But
You know, it's like it's weird that we're talking, you know, and this is a completely relevant topic of conversation. We're 7-3 team,
yeah,
and our stars, almost every one of them has gotten injured this year,
hmm
other than Baker, because Jarvis has crack ribs as well, right?
yeah,
And Kareem Hunt. So Kareem Hunt stayed relatively healthy. He had some hamstring issues, right? That was keeping him touch and go for a little while. So he wasn't even 100%. Who knows if he still is even 100%? But he's like, dude, I'm freaking playing. If Chubb's out, this is my time to shine. He did his best. We got some wins.
Yeah.
So it's not like he did horrible. He definitely did well. But man, that 1-2 punch. But now it's like, in the past, it was just like, are we even going to be competitive on the field this weekend? So now it's like, hold on a second, we're 7-3, we're winning a lot of games, and now we're going up against, what are the Jags, like 1-9? Yeah, they're 1-9.
Yeah, 1-9.
And because the talent gap, right, is there, that's a big challenge for us going into this one. I want to go look at the Browns depth chart.
Kid Wilson's spot on.
Centejo never gets injured. He's right.
Never.
All right, so let's take a look at the
Thank
Browns
God he
depth
doesn't,
chart.
though, because as bad as he is, I mean, the cupboard's bare back there. We'd really be in trouble.
Kevin Johnson is the backup to
And then
Denzel
AJ
Ward.
Green, they just called up.
Yeah, LSU. I mean, I'm bullish on AJ.
Yeah, you know what? I am too. And let me tell you what, I'd rather see what we got in AJ Green than Tavier and Stewart. I mean, those guys.
It's Tavier. Tavier to me plays with a lot of heart, though.
He does, but
he's not Denzel Ward.
No. He yeah, I mean, if they ran out of cardboard cutout, those guys would play really well.
I think it's T. Mitch as well. T. Mitch has like been that serviceable guy. Remember, he was. I don't know if he was ever really brought into the Browns to be a consistent starting corner.
Yeah, and he's played well.
And he's just been like,
he's got stone hands, but
I wish he could execute. Which is when the ball got deflected up in the air. This last week, I sat there and I just watched it. It was like time slowed down for me.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it. I go, there it goes. What's gonna happen? And then you see the big linebacker reach up to the sky, and you're like, is he gonna do it? I wish I had it so I'm like, yeah. And then he almost gets tracked down by that tight end, but still ended up it was like he was running in slow motion as well. But he
They
made it
should
into the end zone. Good for Talkie.
before games they should let teammates they should dump his let him dump his gloves in tar before the game, or little stick him like Lester Hayes back in the Raider days.
Oh my god, that would be like I just remember like in high school just yelling Oski, Oski, the balls of the air, get it. But yeah, Jacob Phillips being back, I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, we'll see what he's got.
I mean, if you would have told me last week, right? If you would have told me last week that the Browns were going to play as well as they did on defense without Myles Garrett, arguably the best. Well, I wouldn't. You can't really say the best because the Texans game we held them to 7 points, but from the Eagles game, for the vast majority of the game, they had 10 points, and then but not only is what we were holding them to, because we did give them the garbage 7 points because it didn't matter, and we were like, look, we were playing against the clock, we weren't playing against the Eagles at that point. But the key to this game was we scored 9 points on defense. This game was won by defense and special teams. And that's the difference, guys. That is the difference in winning football games in the NFL. Those years that we were losing, when we had to make the field goal at the end of the game, we missed it or it got blocked. When we weren't scoring on defense ever. We weren't getting the turnovers, and we weren't turning them into points. Now, Parkey had one blocked on him, which, whatever, that's fine. He still gave us 8 points.
Very, very serviceable.
8 of our 22, right? And then you've got the defense. So let's not give him 9. Let's give him 8 because Parkey had to get the 8 points on defense and 8 points from special teams. Bro, that's 16 of our points.
Yeah.
If you would give me 16 points every week on special teams and defense, we're winning football games because we have a good enough offense to do it. Now, when they're coming to Florida, they're not going to have 40-degree weather with wind and rain.
Right.
Actually, before I say anything, let's look at weather.
Let me guess. And we'll see how close I get. I feel you're looking at 74 with some variable clouds, maybe a pop-up shower.
Pretty darn close there.
Really?
72.
Ooh, that's close.
Precipitation is at 50% chance. Humidity 85, wind 8 miles an hour. So we could potentially be looking at slightly rainy, but like a comfortable rain.
Yeah, like
right? 72 degrees. It's like, it's actually, it might even feel good.
Yeah.
When you're out there, when you're running all cylinders of the engine.
As long as they're not sucking wind, because now it's 72 degrees and high humidity.
Right. Well, I can tell you that I think even in those conditions, if you put any sort of weather onto the Browns at this point, we've been battle tested through it. Yeah. And I think it's probably going to be more to Jacksonville's disadvantage. But, however, this is the NFL, and away games are away games, right?
Yep.
So who knows what can happen? The Jaguars somehow beat the Colts.
Yeah.
With Minshew though, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
But they're an NFL team.
Yeah, that kid in the backfield, he can make you pay.
And I mean, when you don't have your defensive line at full strength, not to say that Myles Garrett is really a run stopping defensive lineman. He certainly can. He's more known for the quarterback, but I think the big thing is going to be how are we going to let Mike Glennon be comfortable back there, or are we going to be putting on the pressure? Because Olivier Vernon,
AFC Player of the Week.
Unbelievable guy. And then for our stupid media, they asked, while he was on the field, they asked him this. I don't know if you caught that at the end of the game. And then the first questions in the postseason presser are about, hey, you guys are terrible, or we don't know very much about you other than Myles Garrett. So what do you think? And Vernon you could even tell that he was kind
Yeah.
of dejected by that. This is a guy who's made Pro Bowl. He's been like an anchor guy on defenses in the past in
Yeah.
New York, and then he comes to the Browns and he's just kind of an afterthought. Somewhat of it is the production he's done on his own. It's not like he didn't have the opportunity. It's not like,
Right.
hey, you got Myles Garrett over there, so I can't get a sack. you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, that we've seen that kind of inconsistent or lackluster production out of Olivier, and he's also been injured quite a bit. And for him to come out, it was his coming out party, and
Yeah.
he was like, you know what, I'm going to be the guy on this defensive line. Sheldon
Man,
Richardson had a decent game as well.
I hope we see it this week. I really, really do. Like
We need it.
I'd love to see that intensity again from the defensive line. It would be yeah, it'd be a big time.
We're going to need that, because if you're looking at the Browns right now, from what ESPN is showing, Jedrick is questionable. JC now, I'm not saying they're not going to play. They're just listed as questionable. Tretter's questionable. Teller's questionable. Conklin's questionable. On the defense, Ogunjobi, Denzel, Ronnie Harrison. Sendejo is listed as questionable.
They're just playing with us.
But half of our damn team has red letters next to their name. It's like it's unbelievable. Let's take a look at what Jacksonville's dealing with right now. Look at your depth chart here via ESPN. You've got Sidney Jones is doubtful. He's their right cornerback.
Who Allen? Their stud defensive end is out this game, I believe, as well.
Josh Allen, yeah.
Yeah.
He's on the IR.
Is he?
So,
is he on the IR now?
Yeah,
he just went on it, right? Like last week or the week before.
They have a lot of guys that are on IR. Josh Allen, Aubrey Jones, Dontavius Russell, Shaquille Quarterman, Leon Jacobs, C.J. Henderson, linebacker, Josh Jones. I mean, they just have a lot of guys on their defense on. But they do have Joe Schobert, who is full strength, and their offense is a little bit banged up. So looking at the Jags, Tyler Eifert is a decent tight end. DJ Clark Jr. is a decent wide receiver. You mentioned, when it comes to like their actual, like who's the anchor of that team, it's Robinson.
Yeah,
726 yards right now, 5 touchdowns. That kid can play.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's got more rushing yards than either of our running backs. However, they do split carries, and Nick Chubb was hurt.
Yep.
But in terms of, Kareem Hunt's leading the team with 644 yards. So this kid can run, Robinson. So that's the one thing that's a little bit concerning.
Yep.
However, looking at their quarterback play, that's the real wild card for them, because Jake Luton has not played particularly well. 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a 54 QB rating in support of Gardner Minshew being out.
Yeah.
Right. So now we've got Glennon, and you got to assume he's probably going to be average. But who knows? I would be preparing for protecting against the run.
Yep.
And looking at what Eagles did to us this last week, I don't know. I mean, I'm concerned.
And not to go back to the Eagles game, but I was very surprised that they sort of went away from the run in the second half, and that was kind of puzzling to me.
It was, and they didn't have to.
No, they didn't.
It was still very much a game. I just think that, and if you looked at it, I noticed with the Eagles, it was like they were trying to make adjustments, but they were just making the wrong adjustments.
Yeah.
Like, why are you adjusting to something that it's already raining, the ball's going to be slick, it's cold, right? So you're at a disadvantage both throwing the ball from a grip perspective as well as catching the ball from the ball being wet and coming at you. So and your running is working. So why get off of that? Because really the game was super tight up to the point where Gillum pinned him down on the 2-yard line.
What a game he had, yeah.
I mean, and I tweeted this out. I was like, Gillum should get credit for that safety, or at least a piece of it. Because, again, that's where it comes down to special teams execution. We talk about this, and I talk about this every weekend with my dad. Are we going to, the hard things that we need to do well is offense, defense, special teams. Those are the 3 aspects of the game.
Yeah.
We definitely executed on defense. We definitely executed on special teams. The offense was kind of like, but when we had to do it, we did it.
Yeah.
Right. When Nick Chubb broke off that run at the end of the game, which is honestly going to go down in history for a guy who goes out of bounds to seal a game. I mean, that is cerebral.
Really
right?
is.
To make that decision. It's selfless. Yeah, 100%. But the offense was a little bit rocky, but I think I will honestly say that I can give that excuse to the weather. Right? If you're gonna have weather like that, you have to be able to run the ball, and you notice what this is a common theme that's occurring, and I'm almost fine with the first half if we don't do well running, because in the second halves of these games that we're winning, we are closing with our running backs.
Yeah.
So I'm almost like, hey, as soon as they get tired, we're gonna be in good shape. Right, we're going to be able to break off those Kareem Hunt 12-yarders, the big run from Nick Chubb. You don't want to rely on those home runs, but we're still getting those 6, 7, 8-yard runs when they know we're going to run the ball.
Yeah,
and that's how I know that we're a good team.
Yeah.
It was another interesting thing. I went over to listen to the big Ravens YouTuber. Ingravens vids. So he's a really nice guy and a very tolerable Ravens fan.
Right.
He talks about,
and there's not many of those.
No, but he talks about all the NFL. And he honestly, I think he likes the rivalry between the Browns and the Ravens. He doesn't look at us.
He wasn't the guy that was on your show, was he? The Ravens game that came on after me for the first game.
No, who did I have on for the Ravens? No, we had in the pregame show.
I didn't mean to interrupt your thought. Yeah, remember?
No, that was a guy that my dad is actually friends with, up there in Delaware. Is Steve?
Okay, yeah, that's right, Steve.
The guy Ingraven vids, he's fantastic. Yeah, and Ara, you're right. He does jump in my chat. I was gonna jump in his chat, but I could also feel that it was not the right time to do it. Right. We were coming off this big high win, and we just took over second place in the division, and it's doom and gloom. I went over to when I was on Quincy's, and Quincy had 500 people on his. Ingraven had 1,000. I mean, this dude is known for his stuff, and he was talking about it, and it was doom. These guys were talking about. I mean, they're Ravens fans were literally saying, "Is it time that we go and actually get a real quarterback?"
Oh wow,
that's what their fans were saying.
That's where they're at, huh?
Yeah, that's where they're at. Their head is in a spot of it's almost like they feel that there's a hole in the bottom of the ship, and they're slowly watching it sink. Yet it's a big ship, and it could still get straightened out.
Right.
But they could tell that they've got some weak points in the armor, so to speak. And it's like the league is catching up to them. And meanwhile, you've got the Browns that weren't built. We're not one-dimensional. We do have great running backs. And they're probably both going to rush for 1,000 yards to get very, very close to it this year.
Very close, yeah.
But we're not one-dimensional. We still have Jarvis Landry. We still have Hooper and Njoku and Higgins and other guys that are stepping up. Kadarrell Hodge led the team in
3 for 73.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got guys, right? And then you can still dump it off to Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb from time to time as well. It seems like we, for whatever reason, don't feel comfortable throwing to Nick Chubb, but we'll throw to Kareem Hunt all the time. So maybe that there's something, but it seemed like Nick, anytime you give Nick Chubb the ball in space, he's off. I mean, it's gone. B. Skrills is in the house. What's going on, my dude? And Rick Adkins is here too. I want to say hi to Rick.
Hey, fellas.
I'm talking about, I mean, we have talent on offense. We've just had some weather issues that kind of made our points for and points against differential still kind of look ugly, but we have a better offense than I think people understand. And the defense has been the weak spot where we're like, God, we're giving up 30 points a game. Come on. And that's when our defense was at full strength with Myles Garrett, with Denzel Ward, right?
Yep.
So now we're going to miss. This is going to be one of those, like, the test of our mettle. You know, like, what are we this week? Are we going to lose? Are we 7-3, staring right down the barrel of a playoff berth for the first time since 2003, a legitimate chance at this point in the season to say we are in the driver's seat for a playoff berth? We're going away to a 1-9 team. We lose our two best players, hands down, on defense.
Oh yeah.
Can we still put it together and play an NFL team and get out of Jacksonville not only with a victory, but not losing any more damn players?
Yeah, and I mean, and for all intent and purpose, I mean, and like we said, he had a big game last week, but he's been, less than stellar the rest of the way. But I mean, we did now lose our starting linebacker too. So we're without 3 starters on the defense this week, which again, I'm confident they take care of business. They win by 2 scores, but then you've got you're going to Tennessee, and you're going to be without Denzel, and you're going to be without whoever else because it's and you and I talked prior, and we'll touch on it, but it's no secret that COVID is ramping up right now. I mean, I've gotten 3 public safety alerts in the past 3 hours about it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. From all the surrounding states, mind you. And it's you're seeing it with the Ravens. I mean, you're seeing it with us. A plethora of teams around the league. I mean, we're starting to see positive tests all over the place, and I think the NFL is sort of coming to a crossroads where they are going to have to really dig in with these teams, and I don't think a bubble is going to be a realistic goal like the NBA and the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
But I really believe that we're getting down to a time here that maybe it's all the players stay at one hotel, and these guys are big boys. They make a lot of money.
You're talking about bubble.
For now, I believe that we'll call it Mike's plan, but I believe that each team should be able to quarantine in their own city, so they all stay at one hotel, right?
Without their families?
Without their families. They're big boys. They make a lot of money. The NFL is $1 billion enterprise. The only reason they're playing this year is because of the dollar. So if they want to keep the investment going and make it quality for the fans, I think that for the remainder of the year, everybody stays in a team hotel. You still travel to the games as per usual.
So let's talk. So this is an interesting. Like scenario that you're drawing out for me.
Yep.
And at first, when you're saying it, I'm going, yeah, no freaking way, dude. But let me add a little bit of weight to the discussion.
Yep.
It's November 25th.
Yeah.
Right? We have give or take 4 weeks left in the season.
Yep.
It's a month. 1 month away.
1 month.
1 month. And here's the deal. Okay? Here's the challenge that everybody's dealing with. And I don't think my kids are going back to school in Florida. Yep. I think they're going to shut
virtual.
I think they're going to shut down. They're going to shut down the schools next.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
DeSantis tried to do his best. He's the governor down here in Florida, and force the schools to open, and give you the option, force them open, and by withholding federal fund or state funding for the schools. But then, what they all did was they opened, and then they're like, okay, we're going to go, till Thanksgiving, and we're just going to shut down.
Right.
and then we'll probably shut down all through the holiday break and come back.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think our kids are going back.
Yep.
But that's the problem. Okay. So and I know this was a little bit. It felt like it was going off track here for a second. But here's my point.
Yep.
These football players, they have when they're living at home in their home, right? Think about all the people they come in contact with and all the different things. Their kids are going to school, and the number one reason, ask any parent out there, the number one way that adults get sick is by kids going to school, getting something, and bringing it home.
Correct.
Okay? So there's that. That's number one. Number two, you don't know what the wives and girlfriends and multiple girlfriends.
You hit it right on the head because, there are several of our players that either they have their social media or their wives have their social media, and I'm not getting on anybody. We're having a conversation.
We're just putting out the facts.
We're putting out the facts.
Not judging anybody. It is a fact.
It's a fact that Emily Mayfield goes.
I knew you were going to say that.
She goes to her cycling classes every day, and she goes to get her facial,
or just the pictures at the game. You see the pictures at the game.
Absolutely.
Just hugging everybody.
Yep, and she's going to get her.
And I love Emily Mayfield, by the way. We both do. It's just like, but that's one example.
Yeah, and so that's one of many, right? So how many people does she come in contact during the day? Then he comes home. So
he's making contact.
And he's making contact. Thank God Cheesecake Factory is going out of business.
Yeah, but he's making contact.
He is making contact, but the point being is, it's
cheesecake.
It's real. It's
Emily Mayfield is never coming on the show, by the way.
Yeah, no. So it's but hey, we're just facts. We're just stating facts here.
It was out there. We're jiving on it. Guys.
Yeah, we're just jiving.
Give us a break.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, it's and someone in the chat pointed out, COVID's out of hand. People have it. They don't know they have it. And absolutely, there are people out there that get it, don't even know they have it.
Yeah,
asymptomatic, what have you. But the issue is that it is out there, and it is getting worse. And these guys are getting tested 2-3 times a day. And like we just said, I mean, I saw, you might have saw it too. There, a fan posted on Twitter about 3 weeks ago. Jedrick Wills was in Walmart. I don't know if you saw that picture. And they had a picture with each other, their arm around each other.
Oh yeah, no, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
these guys are going out. Their spouses, their girlfriends, their friends.
I mean, here, look, dude. I mean, you go out, you get a haircut. You're coming in contact with somebody. You go, you go to the spa. You're again, I don't mean to harp on Emily Mayfield. I happen to follow her, and she puts.
But you know what? But it's
she's
out
getting
there.
spa
it's public.
treatments.
You see that.
And then you've got, and that's just one example. So that's what I'm saying. You've got how many players on the team? 52, 53 man
53,
roster plus the practice squad, plus the staff and the people in the building.
That's a lot of people
and then that's on in every team. Right?
And that's why, and that's why I'm saying.
And then they're coming into contact with other players, breathing their same breath.
Correct.
Right.
And their wives are going to get massages, and their wives are going to get facials, and they're going to get PlayStation 5, wherever it is. But so yeah. So the point being is this thing is getting worse. And my wife is going to try and go on Walmart at 9:00 to snag one. I'll keep everybody posted.
Are they actually having them live in the stores? I heard they were only going to be online.
I think they're only online. I think the only place that you could actually physically go and get it is like GameStop has like certain drops.
Oh.
Yeah, right. Like 2 or 3, and like everybody's like killing each other. And there's a COVID moment, right? Everybody in line killing each other for the PS5. But anyway, point being, how could I say this? if God and I'm pretty self isolated myself. Like me and my wife, we really we don't go anywhere. You know, I've got severe asthma, God forbid, and you know I don't want to take a chance. But um, point being is I could have it right now. I don't know it. You could have it right now. You don't know it.
All right.
But the point being is I'm not a professional football player, and you're not a professional football player, and the
It's
and
4 weeks we're talking about, guys.
correct. And the point that I'm really getting at with what I just said is the fact that these professional athletes are getting tested 3 times a week or 3 times a day. So where there's people out waltzing around the street right now that have it and don't even know it, so what? It's irrelevant. You know what I
Well,
mean?
think about it like this,
It's
Mike. Let me throw out something else at you. Now,
yep.
and American Saxon's right. I mean, people that are young are are surviving it,
Yep.
right? So
There's
it's
some
not.
cases that are that there's,
Yeah,
but
there's
it's
nobody
far and in between.
ain't gonna be some like a super athlete at the peak of their health, you know, in the NFL. That the odds
Correct.
of that would be like getting hit by lightning twice in the same day,
But what it does
and
do,
winning the lottery the same day too.
yep. But what it does do is it cheapens the product that's being put onto the field because I mean, look at the NBA, look at the NHL, right? I mean, they went exclusive bubbles, right? Where they were actually like you look at the NHL, they were in Toronto and Vancouver, I believe, and those dudes didn't see their wives or girlfriends or family, mom, dad, whoever, for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. But you
Dude,
know what? They're big boys. They get paid a lot of money. The
oh yeah.
NHL is a big business.
And
So
it's like 4 or 5 weeks out of your year where you're making millions of dollars. Now, let me throw this at you too, right? The only kind of good thing that comes out of this is they're not sure if you can necessarily get it again. After you get over it, you might have the antibodies and be able to actually like be fine. I don't know if people are getting COVID twice. So that's good for Miles. But think about it like this. Imagine if it happened in the playoffs. Imagine if we get to the damn playoffs and that January 9th time rolls around and you've got Nick Chubb and, and Baker who have COVID.
yeah,
Imagine if that happens. Now,
and that
here's the other thing, Mike. Somebody, you just mentioned all the testing that gets done, right? Somebody had to have given it to Miles. He had to have had come in contact with something or someone that exposed him to that virus for him to get it. That's with all like the UV lights that they use
yeah,
and all the crap, everything that they're doing, and yet the players are still getting it. So to your point,
they
can
got to do
these
something. They got to do something.
can these guys? Yeah, I think Edward was saying earlier. It didn't earlier this season games get postponed because of
Yeah,
COVID.
the Titans and now the Steelers got postponed 3 days.
Yeah. So is it the Ravens game that got postponed?
Yep.
So
No, it'll be
so
yeah.
the
So it went from
Ravens.
tomorrow night to Sunday.
I
Dude,
think that's BS, man.
but and
And will it even matter? Because I think you have to be quarantined after you
yeah,
test
no,
negative. You still
I
have to be
agree.
quarantined.
I think the issue you're 100% correct and like J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram. It doesn't matter if it's Thursday, Sunday, or Monday. They're not playing. But I think it's sort of what we're talking about is they're postponing it because now all of a sudden, you know, everybody and their uncle on that team is testing positive all of a sudden. So they're trying not to make it a super spreader kind of event, if you will,
Yeah.
where I really believe I'm very passionate about the fact that the NFL is going to have to step in and do something because look, we pay a lot of money for the NFL, right? We buy gear, we have season tickets. Even though I didn't go this year, my money is gone, right? I forwarded it to next year. So, I want to make sure that the NFL is putting the best product on the field to entertain me, right? And for me to be able to get my money's worth. And, you know, 2 weeks and no Miles Garrett because of COVID, I'm not getting my money's worth. And it can be easily remedied if they sort of now follow the lead of the NBA, of the NHL. Again, they don't have to go to one city exclusively like
Mhm.
those, those leagues did, but they can certainly say, look, guys, it's getting out of hand. You know, you tell your players, your coaches, whatever, that they are going to be quarantined at the downtown Hilton, and that's home base until the season's
I mean,
over.
but here's the thing, though. I mean, even with that, you've got it's not like they're the only people. You've got the people who work at the Hilton. You know, the people that are going to be touching the trays of food that they're delivering to them. The
Yeah, I mean,
people that are. I mean, there's it's not going to be a perfect solution for it,
no,
but it's got it. There, at some point, if you are a playoff team or
yep,
somebody who's really threatening, like if I'm the Jags, I'm not going to put my
yeah,
team. I'm not
whatever.
going to put my team into a bubble
No,
at 1-9. Or, but if you're, let's say you're the Eagles at 3-6-1 with, still your division is terrible, so
yeah,
there's a
you're
really
leading the
good chance you're
division.
making the playoffs.
Yep.
There's or the Browns at 7-3, and let's say we win this game, we go 8-3. Okay, so now we're really, really looking good for the playoffs. Um,
I mean,
can
look at
we can we afford it?
yeah. I mean, look at this week. If we're in a bubble type situation, we're without Denzel because he had a football injury, right? We're
Uh,
not without our two best players because one happened to get this shit ass disease that we have right now that we're all having to deal with, right?
yeah.
So it's. I mean, it sucks. I mean, there's no right, wrong, or you know
No,
whatever.
I mean, if
But I think
The
they need to do
NBA did
something.
it, the NBA
Yeah.
did it, and it was
NHL.
NHL. It was successful,
Yeah.
right? They could bring in guys from the NHL and the NBA as consultants, and say, what did you guys do? How can we do this the same way? And just saying like, and I think the NFL should say any team that is currently in playoff contention, anybody who's like mathematically eliminated at some point. It may not be this week, right? But sometime in the middle of December, teams are going to be mathematically eliminated. And I think they should say, until your team is mathematically eliminated from this point on, you have to be bubbled. But I think the problem is with that, like at least with the NBA, they're like, we're playing every game in Orlando. Like we're just going to do it in one place, right? Isn't that what they did?
Yeah, and then the NHL. They were in Vancouver, I believe, and Toronto. But to your point, look at the Jets. The Jets will be I mean, they're already mathematically out of it, but they got to play us week 14 or whatever it is, 15.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everybody's got to. I think everybody would have to get into whatever type of bubbly situation it would be, whether you're
Whether you're
0
in it
and
or not, yeah.
12 or because
Yeah, because
and
they're going to be
again,
in contact with it. Yeah,
yeah,
you're
you're going to
right.
be in contact, and I mean it's not a lot to ask. I mean, I'm sure that there's plenty of guys on out there on the street that if you told them, hey, you're not be able to see your wife or kids or whoever for 12 weeks, but I'll give you $3.5 million, they'd be like, all right, where do I sign?
Yeah, I'll take it. 100%.
So
But I think they would still have to come to a scenario and go, where do we do it? And you can't. It would have to be East Coast. It would have to be somewhere like preferably dome. Preferably you're
yeah.
indoors, so you don't have to deal with the weather elements. And I mean, I guess Atlanta.
But I don't think, Mike, I don't think you have to do it in a sense of, you could only play, in Atlanta and you could only play in I'm just making this up, in Las Vegas.
Mhm.
Those are your two play.
Yep.
I think you could still maintain your, your Cleveland and you have a home game, you're playing at First Energy, or the Jets, you have a home game, you're playing at MetLife. I think you could still do that as long as the teams are huddled up in some type of isolation in their own city leading up to that
Yeah,
travel day and the game.
it comes down to what is what is your level of risk mitigation that you're willing to go through for this?
Right.
Because you've got the pure isolation bubble where, nobody touches you and you bunker down like
Hmm.
like you're in some nuclear event. That's
Yep.
the extreme where you're literally, underground in a bunker, all the way up to probably as loose as you can get, which is what we're in now. Where like you're
Right.
just doing some testing from time to time. We're trying to figure out who you've been in contact with, but ultimately, the second they leave the building, there's no control. If you've got your girlfriend, your wife going to a yoga class, or going to the
And it's
grocery store,
like
or
4 or 5 stops in one day, right?
yeah, yeah.
I mean, with the person that we were talking about earlier, we won't mention any names because
Well, I
we
mean,
don't
but
want.
that again, that's like it's one player. You've
Right.
got a backup quarterback. You've got practice squad quarterbacks. You've got all these players up and down your roster, and you don't know, right?
No.
And Miles Garrett, he's not married. I don't
No.
think he has a girlfriend. I think he's pretty much a homebody type guy from what I can tell. He's not going out
Now,
there partying.
no. And now I do know, and I don't know. I don't know. If Miles lives with his brothers or whatnot, but like you look at his Snapchats or Instagram or whatever, and there was one a couple weeks ago, actually right before the news broke, and I'm not saying that that's how he got it or whatnot, but you know we all have social media and we all have little get-togethers or whatnot, and it was him and a couple of younger guys, which I assume, I think he does have brothers. I thought maybe it was them. I don't know if they all live together and isolate together, whatever.
Mm,
But point being is that's another player that was around other people at
there you
home,
go.
and you don't, like you said. I mean, just like
There
it,
you go.
person we're not naming goes to get a facial and then goes to the bicycle riding place. You know, we don't know where these people are going.
I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, the reality here is it's just something we're dealing with. For all intents and purposes, it's the flu, right? It's a version of that. It has some really deep threats for
Yeah.
people who have like yourself with asthma, people with diabetes, people that are elderly. There is some risk there, and I think that's really what it comes down to. It's not necessarily about the players. These guys, like we talked about with OBJ. I mean, if they wanted to get, you know, if they wanted to get oxygen flown in from the Himalayas, they
They
could
could
do
get
it.
it.
They could get
Fact.
it, right? They can get whatever the heck they want and not have a problem. It's more about, okay, once Miles Garrett gets it, does he give it to some poor, you know, guy on the training staff whose father is diabetic and they're going to go see them on Thanksgiving?
Right.
It's
And that, yeah,
there's so
you don't
much to it,
know.
guys.
There's
It's a
so many variables.
deeper layers to this conversation.
No, you're 100% correct. And again, you know, I don't. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I know what the NFL is thinking, and because I certainly don't. But I think that it's going to come down to a point where a scenario close to mine or something along those lines is probably going to be implemented, because I have to tell you, COVID or not, come Super Bowl time, that's a lot of money at stake. Sponsors,
Billions,
etc. Billions
billions,
upon billions. And
and that's why they're playing.
yeah, and I got to tell you, I mean, imagine if we get to the Super Bowl and let's say, and I hate to say this, but I'll just say it because they're 10-0. The Steelers get there, right? And the night before the Super Bowl, Ben Roethlisberger is test positive for COVID, and so does Mason Rudolph. I don't even know who the hell their third is. Is that Duck guy still on their team? I don't even know.
I think he is.
So who's
Is that duck guy?
are the sponsors and the people that are shelling out billions and billions and billions of dollars going to be excited for that matchup?
Dude,
So
that's a good
I
point.
yeah, so I think eventually the NFL has to protect their brand.
Duck Hodges is
And
not on the team anymore. It's Joshua Dobbs is the third. Anyway,
oh
didn't
my
mean
God,
didn't
yeah, that's even worse. That's even
from
worse.
Tennessee, Joshua Dobbs.
Yeah. So I mean, at some point, you know, Mike randomly sitting in Delaware is thinking of this. You bet your ass that the NFL is already thinking about the scenario too, and how it would just be absolutely devastating.
You're absolutely right, and I think that let's say it's Roethlisberger against, I don't know, the Rams make it back there, and
Mhm.
Roethlisberger and Jared Goff
Jared Goff
both have it,
or
or
Aaron
or
Donald.
or Aaron Donald, or um, you know, I don't know if there's anybody like that big on the Steelers outside of Ben who would be that critical. But still, you're right. And at that point, you've got that week of the Super Bowl. You've got pressers that you got to do. I guess they're going to do all that stuff virtually.
Yeah,
You know,
virtually.
are they going to have fans in the stands for the Super Bowl? Maybe. I mean, if it gets worse, are people going to do that? But you're talking about all the money that goes into it, and it's still going to be drastically hit,
Yeah.
right? Because of where is the Super Bowl this year? Is it in Vegas?
I don't even. Yeah, is it? I don't even know. As funny as that.
2020 Super Bowl. Let's find out. I don't know if this is going to give me last year's Super Bowl. Yeah, that was 2020. So I got it. 2021 is. Oh, it's in Raymond James here in Florida. It's Tampa Bay.
Okay.
So, which is honestly, I think they should just play the Super Bowl in Miami every year. It's dumb that they don't. I think the only risk about Florida is like you can run into a Super Bowl, February game that's raining.
Right.
That's the only problem with it.
I think that happened. Didn't that happen a few years back? Was it the Patriots game? It was like a steady rain, or the Colts maybe. I remember
Yeah,
there
it was
was
the Colts. Yeah,
right. Wasn't it the Colts game? There was a steady rain for a little while, but I mean,
yeah.
it was
And
nothing.
Peyton Manning
Nothing that
threw that
was.
touchdown to Reggie Wayne up the middle, and it was like that wobbling duck that he caught, which
It,
Peyton Manning
the,
always threw ducks.
and Lace has a great point. Imagine if a Super Bowl head
I was
coach
just
caught COVID. Yeah,
I
it just
was
caught
just
my eye.
honestly, I was just thinking that too, Lace, when you said that, because I'm looking at the the ESPN reports about the Browns and everything like that, and they had a Google, I'm sorry, and it had a thing for Stefanski was talking about more players are testing positive.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was like Stefanski, the
Right.
guy who's calling our offensive plays, and the head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think they would allow him to like call the plays in like remote, like?
Yeah, like from his house.
From like a Zoom call?
Can you imagine? You know what's funny? I don't know if you saw his presser today,
No, I
but
didn't see it.
they asked him about do you have conversations with your guys to tell them to be you know, safe, when they're out in the facility or whatnot. And he was like, yeah, we do or whatever. But there was something about his body language that I could tell, like he I don't know, something was weird. Like he feels like maybe more needs to be done. I can't explain it. If you go back and you watch it, maybe it was just me, but he had the look of like, yeah, what we're doing now is shit, basically, in my opinion.
Well, he would know. I mean,
Yeah,
like these guys would know and be honestly, yeah, if he's disappointed, I'm sure that they had the ability to do more.
yeah,
But I mean, what I want to know is, you've got Miles who goes down and Taki who goes down. So there's two players, both of which are on defense,
right.
right? Who go down in the same week or within the same 7-day period. So it's likely that it's someone that they both came in contact with, or did one infect the other?
Well, here's a good. You know what? You bring up an interesting point, Mike, because then if you look at practice today, once I mean they knew it was Taki. So then all of a sudden, to your point, you've got two defensive players that now test positive. And today, for the first time, you had an offense practice, and then the offensive players went home. and then you had a defensive practice.
So they
So,
are starting to make some changes.
yep.
Yes. Andy Janovich was the first to get it, Mike. Oh yeah,
Actually, it
that's
was
right.
Hubbard. No, Hubbard was the
Oh
first.
yeah, yeah, you're right.
Then
Hubbard,
Janovich.
then
Yeah.
Janovich. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, so it's it's gotten around, and you know what the interesting thing I'd like to know is, in terms of just players in general getting ill. You
Yeah.
know, because like in sports in general, like human beings get sick from time to time. It's just part
Yeah.
of life.
Part of life.
How many of them are getting the flu?
Right.
And then how many of them, even if they get the flu, are like suffering through it? The last time I think I had the flu, I was working in an office. So I work from home now for a company, and been working for this company for 4 years now from home, and it's been the greatest. If anybody has a chance to work from home and it's
Oh,
something that you can do,
I love it. It's
it's
great.
just the
It's great.
greatest thing ever.
It really is.
At this stage of my life, if I was like 23, I'd probably want to be around other people, but at this stage, I'm good. And but I had it. I had the flu really bad, and everybody in my family had the flu. So my two kids at the time, my wife, we all had it, and it was bad. I mean, it was so bad that my wife was actually on a trip, and I don't think she had it yet. But I think I had like 103-degree temperature, and physically couldn't move. And
Yeah.
my mother-in-law wasn't here yet. My parents were in South Florida. They couldn't do anything, and we had both of my kids were staying with they had a private daycare, so they had a nanny. And I remember talking to the nanny, and I'm like, I don't know if I can pick my kids up. And luckily, she was nice. She's like, look, I understand the situation. It's okay if they stay here. We'll do a sleepover. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And luckily, it was okay. And
Yeah.
that was it was so scary for me because I'm like, your kids, my kids were young at the time. You don't want to leave them at somebody else's house overnight. Well, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
It was either like I go to the hospital and start getting IVs or not. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And, I guess the point here is the flu's bad and COVID's bad. And if you work in an office or you work in a building, you work around other people, there's going to be a point where you're going to have to make a decision. Am I going to suck it up and go in? And, if I already missed a week of work, can I miss another one? And, it just becomes an issue after a while.
Yeah.
But at least with this, we're all kind of in it together as like in humanity.
Right.
And we're all kind of like, look, don't do anything risky that could potentially impact somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to start seeing it more and more. Like, have you noticed, or chat as well, if you guys can keep us up to date on this, are other teams experiencing this at the same level we are, or are we spiking and kind of like the team now that's getting COVID?
No, I mean it's all around. I mean, you look at the Ravens, Dobbins,
Yeah.
Ingram, some of the staff, um, and I did see that somebody else tested positive. I don't know who it was, but I think that's what ultimately led to the game being canceled. But it's funny because like you take Juju for example. I don't know if you saw the tweet that he put out,
No.
but like some of these guys, man, they have to understand like they can't, they got to sort of stay in their lane. But I mean, he basically was saying, you postponed a game earlier in the year from us because a team wasn't following the protocol, i.e., the Titans, and now you're postponing a game because another team couldn't, whatever. So it was sort of like, come on, dude, just because you haven't seen it yet on your own team, like it's not like these people are like deliberately going out to get it. But again, to our point earlier, when like you look at the Titans back in the day, well, they didn't follow protocol because I think if you remember correctly, and if I'm remembering correctly, Tannehill had put together a practice or something where do you remember that? And that was sort of like how they wound up getting it in the off week that they were supposed to be quarantining or whatnot.
Yeah.
But then to what we were just saying earlier, I mean, how I mean, you have family members that are like still living their lives, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't. You do what you do, but I mean, so if it was, let's say, for instance, it was like the Browns. I mean, I don't know. Is Juju going out to the stores? Is I don't know. Does he have a girlfriend? Like, is she going to a dance class or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I don't know how you.
I got to tell you, if Baker ever comes down with it, we'll know. We'll know where he got
Yeah,
it.
could have been the facial spot or the
Pilates,
cycling.
cycle bar, the
But how is
blood
that?
therapy thing.
But how? But in all seriousness, and I know we're beating this like a dead horse, but
Yeah.
in all seriousness, like how are you doing your very best to keep the team safe if like you or your family members are like going out shopping or going to the stores or going to dance
The
class or
malls are
going
the
to
malls are gonna be decimated.
you know what I mean? Like I don't to me it almost should have been a look, this is going on. We're not going to put you guys in a bubble. However, we pay you a lot of money. So, unfortunately, people in your household, whatnot, you guys have to be as strict gets. And if that means you order your groceries via Instacart, then that's what you're going to do. But to me, it's almost a joke. Like, really, is like this really like are they really like being extra careful? And I don't think they are.
I don't know. I don't know if they are or not. Um,
I agree, Kid
Ara's
Wilson.
Ara is saying the practice at the local high school at Kozar's restaurant. Probably in the minority, but if they cancel the season tomorrow, I would live. Football is a great pastime. I'm a dire fan, but I won't lose any sleep over it. I mean,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think you're right.
yeah,
I think you're right, and I think a lot of us are kind of all in that same
yeah,
that same spot. But it would just be a shame for all the stuff that we've had to deal with here in 2020,
yeah,
from a lot of our lives being impacted by it, family members, people literally dying,
yeah,
all the changes that have had to happen, both some things that were just uncomfortable we had to adjust to, like masks in public and stuff like that. But then you've got like the election and the kind of craziness that's gone on with that. I think everybody's just like ready to be done with this year and
yeah.
ready for this thing to go away. It's funny. I was on a walk with my son. He's like, yeah. He's like, as soon as 2021 hits, we're gonna know who the president is. COVID's gonna be gone. And I'm like, dude, whoa. I'm
Time
like,
out.
none of what you said is probably gonna happen.
You know what? And it's funny because we were just having this conversation earlier, and the vaccine's coming out, etc. But if you told me that we could be sitting in a similar spot come next year at this time, I wouldn't think you're crazy. I would think it's a very strong possibility.
Yeah, you're right. But then if you go back to history, Matt, remember 2007, I were like, oh yeah, we're on the cusp of being dominant, and then a completely backwards 2008,
Oh no,
and then
I was just talking about the virus.
oh, you're talking about the virus. I thought you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
talking about
yeah,
the
yeah.
Browns.
No, no,
Oh,
no.
you're saying that
Oh,
you think that
please.
it could be 100% possible that in the end of November next year we're still
Yeah,
in the same thing.
that we could still be in the same thing. Yeah.
Well, and that's really good at what it's going to depend on, because we got all these different companies that are out there that are making vaccines and stuff, and some have, 60% effectiveness, 70, 80, 90%, who knows.
Yeah.
And the reality is, guys, like, we're going to have to buckle down. This I was talking to my dad. My dad's 73 years old, and I was asking him, have you ever in your life experienced anything close to this? And he's like, there's things that happen usually once a decade. Something big happens, like in the 60s it was Vietnam, and in the 70s it was gas crisis and economic conditions, and 80s it was 80s is actually pretty good. I mean, I
AIDS.
grew up
We had AIDS.
AIDS in the 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if there's anything like major. in
Kurt
the
Cobain.
in the 90s. Maybe just like
That was about the extent of it.
the
Yeah,
internet happened in the 90s.
I can't think of it. I can't. You know what? The '90s were great.
The 90s were
Looking
great.
back, the '90s were great. I
I
love the
mean,
'90s.
the 90s from honestly
Beautiful.
the 80s and the 90s were just such a magical time. Like I,
They
I
really,
remember
really,
I,
really were.
if you ever read like Ready Player One, you know that book, or watch the movie,
Yep.
it's just such a love story to the 80s, and then going into the 90s. I gotta tell you, if I could if I could have picked any time throughout human history
Right.
of when to have been born, being born in January of 1980 was a great year and a great time to be born. I experienced all the 80s, just about, or at least the good part of the 80s. The early 80s was more like late 70s, and then it got into like the good 80s.
Kid Wilson has me by a year.
He's got you by a year.
Got me. Actually, you know what? I'll be. Is my birthday on a Wednesday this year? Hold on. We might be celebrating my birthday on here. Let's take a peek. It's coming.
A birthday Wednesday show?
Guess what?
What?
Next week, birthday Wednesday.
No way. Oh,
Oh yeah.
my
It could be
birthday, by the way, is also January 13th, which is a Wednesday.
Can you beat it?
The
Can you beat it?
Wednesday show.
Next week we are going to have hopefully the Wednesday victory birthday show.
Oh my gosh, man.
I'm here for it.
I mean, let's do it, man. Let's absolutely do it. And I think it's going to be awesome. I would love to. Hey, I want to win this game more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
I want to be 8-3.
8-3. Could you guys? The Cleveland Browns 8-3.
I want to say.
Oh my God,
I wanna look at
Stompers were
this.
great. I just saw Kid Wilson. You changed the tires from the soft ones to the rubber ones. Remember those Stompers?
Stompers. Okay,
I'm gonna have to raid my parents' basement now to see if I can find my old. I love those things.
This will be the best start that we've had. It already is pretty much sealed off the best start that we've had since 1994. But
Yeah.
my God, were we good in 1994, dude? We were at one point we were 8-2.
Yeah.
And then we went 8-3.
And we should be 8-2. I agree with you. That Raiders game is beyond annoying.
And then we were 9-3. So at this time, November 27th, 1994, which is this week, right?
Yeah.
We were 9-3.
9-3.
And then we ended up going 11-5.
Yeah.
11-5 Cleveland Browns. Which is if you win 11 games in the regular season, you are a team that should be competing for a Super Bowl.
You know,
and we ran into and then we win a playoff game. And most other teams are like, yeah, we win playoff games. We win. Not the Browns, not us.
Yeah, and it's this really. I mean, we joke as Browns fans for years about how we just can't have nice things, etc. And it's like it's biting us again, like because there's no question we're gonna win. Like I said, we'll win by 2 scores down in Jacksonville, and then we go to the Titans, and of course, it had to be Denzel that gets hurt, and I can they win the game in Tennessee without Denzel? Of course. I mean, it's one player.
Yeah.
Can they win Monday night against the Ravens without Denzel? Of course, again, it's only one player. But I think that it makes it extremely tough without your number one corner. But again, I mean, and again, in this crazy year, and I don't want to go back to what we were just talking about for the past 30, 35 minutes, but I mean, who knows? Next week, Derrick Henry could be on the COVID list. And now all of a sudden, that game's not scary. Or the following game against Baltimore, Lamar Jackson can go on the COVID list. You know what I mean? So you just, it's a crapshoot. It really is.
You're right. And that's what we have to deal with it. Every team's got to deal with it. And hopefully we start getting some of this preferential treatment when it comes to like postponing games or stuff like that. Because I mean, it's starting to get ridiculous. But in terms of like, hey, can we have nice things? And why can't we do it?
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is I'd much rather be the Browns right
Yeah.
now with our nucleus and with our new coaching staff. Right? I would much rather be these guys and where our franchise is positioned right now than a lot of the other teams in the
Oh
league.
yeah, most certainly.
And this is one of those. Cleveland Cam in the house. What's going on, dude? Hey, by the way, everybody, if you're into gaming, if you're into Call of Duty and all that kind of stuff, you got to check out Cleveland Cam. Go to just search on YouTube for Cleveland Cam. We just put up a new highlight. I'm helping him out doing some production work for Cleveland Cam. The dude is a banger. I played with Cam today. We got a dub. We're going to be putting up a highlight of that one. Got in. Cam threw me a bone. He's like, all right, I'll play with you noobs. But carried us. I think he had like 18 kills in that game. I had 3.
Which means if I played, I would have had negative 12.
We did have a guy on the team who had a 0 kill victory, which is, it's unfortunate. I've been there. I've played in games where like the whole team, getting double digit kills and I had 0, and I'm like,
that would be me.
What? So I've had some embarrassing games like that. At least I had a couple, but
it happens.
Cam is a banger, and he's gonna have some very, very big things. I'm a huge fan, and guys, check out Cleveland Cam. Follow him on Twitter, and subscribe to him on YouTube because he's got some good content that yours truly is currently producing for my man. So
Nice.
if you like my highlight videos, if you like my hype videos in the Browns, you'll notice it's a similar flair that we got. So Stomping Peak, you're grinding COD right now. Very good, dude. Very good. You should send me a message. We'll get some games in together, dude.
We failed on the 9 p.m. Walmart PS5. The bots were strong. 20 seconds in, it was over. Had it in the cart 5 times.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it happened to me. That Laura was doing it, and then it happened to me. I tried last week. Same thing. I had it in my cart a couple times, trying to pay, and then they took it out.
Dude,
Yes, I. Oh, I was just gonna at least. Yes, I do remember suicidal tendencies.
the so yeah, Max, definitely check him out, dude. I'm more of a PC guy,
Yeah.
and I'm in a position where like my kids game and stuff like that, so I kind of like transition my hand me down parts to them,
Right.
and somehow I've conditioned my wife to be okay with me buying it's insanely expensive PC parts because I'm like, well, Kendall really needs an upgraded PC. Her computer's from
my God.
2012. She can't play Call of Duty Warzone as a 7-year-old, and we have to get her playing. So I'm looking at some of these newer parts that are coming out, like the AMD has a new CPU, the 5950X, which is a monster, and they got some new cards. But so I was watching a live stream this morning. This big YouTuber, I love this guy. He brings me up to speed on all the gaming hardware stuff. It's called Gamer Meld. So if you guys are into PC hardware, you got to check out Gamer Meld. And he was doing a live stream as Newegg was trying to like come out with the new AMD graphics cards, and none of them were. And they either didn't release or they went so fast that not a single person. And there were 3,000 people in his chat, and not a single person got one.
Wow.
That's how ridiculous. So the PS5, the Xbox. I have a friend, another friend, not Cleveland Cam, but my other friend Cam from Richmond, Virginia. He ended up getting 2 Xbox Series X's, but he had to buy them from this wonky website, and he had to buy it with a bundle with one of those Elite controllers.
Yeah.
So it was like he had to spend like $800 for it. So then he had to like sell the Elite controller on the side. So they were like doing this crap, but he ended up getting 2. So it's possible, or you could pay the scalpers, but right now like nothing. You can't find anything.
No, it's crazy. And I read an article, and Sony actually basically said, look, we made all we made. Like we're we're behind. Like everything that's out there is out there. Like there's no more essentially until they, start making more.
It's
So
weird.
yeah,
I think I saw an article saying that through Black Friday, so anybody who's in looking for a PS4, it's the
yeah,
only one that I heard about, is that they are going to start releasing more consoles like for the PS4 on Black Friday and beyond. So you'll
yeah,
have another chance. I think they're all going to be online orders though. So, but I'm not much of a console guy. I'm a PC guy, but we're experiencing that same problem.
yeah,
And I don't think that, I think a lot of it's because a lot of it's manufactured in Korea and in China, and obviously you've got some problems over there,
yeah,
and then shipping, and then you've got, so I mean there's supply issues everywhere,
yeah,
and hopefully I've just basically sat there and said, you know what, I'm just gonna wait. It's probably gonna be like March or April till I'm gonna be able to get my new graphics card, my new CPU, and that's fine. I'll live with it.
yeah,
But it's like everything else in life right now. You gotta make adjustments. You gotta chill. You gotta, just accept the fact that, be thankful that you are healthy, that you're not experiencing anything like that. If you happen to have a job, feel happy about that probably.
yeah.
Because there's a lot of people. I know people that are in the service industry that didn't have work for 6 months. I can't
Yeah.
imagine. I
I can
literally.
imagine.
I got 3 kids. I don't know how I would survive off of unemployment or just something like that for that many months, and it's scary.
Yeah,
But then again, it is what it is, and that's what you got to do today. So if you can help out people, or you know, donate something to somebody in need, this is now the time to do it.
that's the time.
So, all right, guys. Well, hey, we've been at it, Mike, now for 2 hours and 22 minutes. This is right about the average time for us. So we probably should start winding the Wednesday show down. Oh, well, you know what? I don't think we never gave away the homage shirt. So
That's right.
anybody,
Comes our birthday.
guys, anybody who's left in chat right now, you're getting a chance, a very, very good chance of getting a free T-shirt from Homage. So let's go 1 to 100 now for Homage shirt. Go.
Oh, this is good. Two giveaways in one show.
And Homage has a Victory Monday shirt that you can buy.
Do they have one now?
They do, but
Okay.
I think they only have like small and maybe extra small and medium left. I don't think that they had very many sizes in there.
Method of Destruction. Yes, I know them as well.
Method of
related.
Destruction.
They were like a New York thrash band.
They sound familiar. Kid Wilson, can you buy me a brownie post game show also? I got one the other day. I don't know if that means kid,
Sure,
but
maybe?
I'll I can't buy you a brownie post game show. We can put on one, but if you're talking about a shirt, maybe, yeah. Aaron Noel Myers is in. Aaron, you are in. Looks like we still got some numbers trickling in. So guys, I love it. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys. This has been another Wednesday show. I appreciate it. Just gonna give some love out to some of the sponsors: William Ali, Schlegel Law Firm, Sabo Apparel, Homage. You guys keep us afloat, and then all the other individual contributors in the Patreon. All those names at the bottom. You guys are the reason why I love buying mugs and sending them out. And I think I did get a message. Let me just double check here from David saying that
Yeah, I think he said that you
can order, but it's a $27 shipping. I'm gonna bite the bullet and I'm gonna buy it for him because he got it.
I'll take care of half for you.
All right, I'll take you up on that.
Yep, we'll go half on it.
So we'll take care of him on that shipping, get that out to him, because you know what? I just want him to have it, and so he can say that he got it and he got it from us. I think that's awesome.
Yep.
You should put up a link to your website on the YouTube videos. Yeah, you know what? I don't think I've been putting the link out to. It's just browniepostgame.com. There's some merch up there you guys can check out. I try to make it as cheap as possible. I'm not really making any money off of it. I just want to have something that people can buy if they want to. All right, so here is the number was 5. And I think somebody came close. Lace had a 4. And it looks like Lace Nix is the winner. Boom. Lace, have you won anything here before? Let's wait for him to find out. But if not, send it. Lace, send me an email.
Did he peace out when he told us all to have a safe and joyful Thanksgiving?
Nope, he's still here.
There he is.
Okay, Lace, send me an email, browniepostgame@gmail. Go to homage.com. Pick out a t-shirt. Make sure they have your right size. So send me your address, the size, and the URL of the t-shirt you want. Okay, so go to your browser. People are like, I don't know what a URL is. I'm like, just copy the browser, like the actual URL of the shirt, just so I know that I'm giving you the right one. I would hate if I got you the wrong shirt. So the URL of the shirt, your name, and I don't need your name, but your address and your size and the URL of the shirt, send it to browniepostgame@gmail.com and we'll make sure we get that out to you. And because we're giving it away on the Wednesday show, we're not giving it away on the Sunday show. We'll still talk about homage on Sunday and we'll give them all the love in the world, but we'll just try to do 2, if the Sabo people will be gracious enough, maybe 2, or maybe Cleveland Clothing Co. will give us something, maybe GV Art will give us something. Who knows? We'll reach out to them, see if we can get some cool stuff. Or maybe I'll just give away a Brownie Postgame t-shirt. I'm gonna give one of those away from the Brownie Postgame shop, the merch store, right? Yeah. Can you just call me? No, I cannot call you. But you can send me an email and I will send it to you. I love all you guys, but I'm not giving away my phone number to people on the internet. All right, guys. I love you all. Thank you guys very much for being here. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, Mike, You know what? Before we go, let's at least say one thing that we're very thankful for this year. I'll let you start off.
So I would say in the crazy year that it has been, I am extremely thankful for my family's health, as well as obviously my own. So I'm really extremely grateful that we've knock on wood, everybody has been healthy and really, I mean, there's for me there's if you don't have your health, you really don't have much. So
true.
Yeah. So big time thankful for that.
Yeah, I would echo that 100%. I'm not going to steal your thanks, but obviously right. I think that's a great thing for everybody. Everybody who's happened to be healthy out there, and we're still making it. Every day's, you get a shot to do your best. I think honestly, what I'm probably most thankful for this year, beyond the health, is that I happen to work for a company that is in really good financial shape, and that I can not only remain employed, but recently got a little promotion at work, so things are going really well. We're going to IPO pretty soon, so some really good stuff coming up in the future. And we're actually doing, I think I might have talked about this a little bit on some of the last shows, we're actually doing a charity event. So it's going to be a gaming related charity event. I know I'll probably throw in some Madden or maybe some Tecmo Bowl in there, so the people here actually really care a little bit. But we're going to be doing a gaming event on December 4th. So it's the week of the Titans game. And I'm doing
birthday week.
There you go, birthday week so it's the week of the Titans game, and I'm going to be doing a charity event with a bunch of people that I work with, where we're raising money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, which is a hospital in Tennessee. So the week of and I actually specifically chose that Friday before the Titans game. So hopefully when I spread the word out on Twitter and here on YouTube, people can look at it and go, you know what, it's Titans week. It's a time for giving. We all have a lot to be thankful for. And, there's some people out there that are dealing with, Mike, as you were saying, with health. Yeah. I mean, I think the scariest thing in the world is when one of your kids are sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what they do at St. Jude is nothing short of, honestly, miracle work.
Yeah.
From a humanity standpoint. And I would love to get, so I set a goal, and I'm kind of leading this this group at my company who's doing this charity drive. I set a goal of $10,000. So if we could raise $10,000 on and hand that to St. Jude the week of the Titans game through all the Browns fans, Browns Twitter and everything,
That'd be great.
I just think it would be amazing, and it would make my year. Just to be able to do that for them. So that's something coming up, guys. You'll be able to see that. I'll probably be live streaming it here on Brownie Post Game basically all day on December 4th. So if you see me live, feel free to hop in. I'm going to have the donation thing there as well, so you can donate, and it'll be a big pop-up when somebody donates. It all goes through this website called Tiltify, so I don't handle any of the money. It all goes through basically an organization that St. Jude has already been in with. So if you have anything, if you're looking to give or really have anything in there, I'm setting my personal goal of $500, but I really personally, I've done these kind of gaming things in the past, and I've raised like $1,500. So I'm hoping I want to personally raise over $1,000, but as a company, we're looking to raise $10,000. So I'm hoping too that maybe my company might even match it, when they do that, which would just be freaking unbelievable. So stay tuned for that, guys. Spirit of giving thanks. Let's all do it. Max, I really definitely appreciate you doing that giving and helping us out. That'd be awesome. So, all right, guys, we love you all. Appreciate you guys sticking with us for the Wednesday show. This is our midweek time where Mike and I talk about the Browns, harp on our linebackers a little bit, and really try to bring it for you guys. So, Mike, I appreciate you being here, my man.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And we will see you next week, same time, 7 o'clock for the Wednesday show. Good night, everybody. Go Browns.
See you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.